From Harry Hurley Way in the world's playground to the broadcast pioneers of Philadelphia Hall of Fame, you're about to find out why Harry Hurley has been named to the Talkers Magazine list of the 100 most important talk show hosts in the nation. Live from the studios of Town Square Media in Northfield, it's Hurley in the Morning on WPG Talk Radio 95.5 and the WPG Talk Radio app.
Well, we meet again 7 minutes past the hour. As always, thank you for joining us. And thanks for waking up early in the morning. President Biden is in Italy as we speak. I'll tell you, this Hurley morning gig, when you've got this overseas type of travel, we're right in the thick of things. 3 o'clock hour, 4 o'clock hour. It's perfect. We see this stuff that most people sleep through. I love it. We also, unfortunately, at 3 o'clock in the morning, witnessed hundreds of thousands of ballots materializing. I remember on a daily basis, it was like for 5 straight days following the election, we would keep talking about Pennsylvania in particular. It's not the only place. And how the vote totals at about 2, 3 o'clock in the morning would magically, mystically, wonderfully improve for Joe Biden and the Democrats. Republicans are going to have to keep a very watchful eye. You know, it's one thing to win the campaign. It is an awful, awful experience, an awful feeling to win a campaign and lose the election. And understand something. I just saw a model that I'm going to share with you in a moment. Trump is looking so incredibly strong right now. This is why I'm telling you, the Democrats, they know they can't win on the up and up. They're not going to win with votes. They're going to try to win with ballots. Do you know what I mean? The distinction between the two? That's their game. They can't draw flies on you-know-what, but they want to tell you how popular they are. Oh, my God, look at this. No one has ever voted more for anyone than us. They have to keep an eye. We can't do it. We can call it out, but they have to keep an eye on every single state that the procedures, the way that you vote, that all these things have not been changed. And screw them with their, you don't want people to vote and keeping people down and making it harder for. I'm so sick of listening to them say these lies. Does anybody hold you down, lock you up, hog tie you, stuff an apple in your mouth, and duct tape you to a chair until after Election Day? Come on. Anybody who wants to vote can vote. They call Republicans racist for photo ID. Come on. Look at the American society and all the things that photo ID are required for. To get Sudafed, cold medicine. Front desk check-in. They're not racist. Your front desk agent is not a racist when they say, could I please see photo identification? They're not racist, I promise you. And that agent at the airport, when they ask for the photo ID, they're not racist. And when they ask for photo ID at the NAACP convention, they're not racist either. And when they ask for photo ID at the Democratic National Convention, they're not racist. And for any major purchase, please, could I see some photo ID? Well, absolutely. It's commonplace. How is it racist to simply demonstrate that you are who you say you are? What's the problem with that? But they get away, and the Democrat media parrots it with its racist, only for voting, nothing else. I'm sure if you apply to be able to go to certain sensitive areas to do a tour or anything else, you would present at some point, whether it's in advance or at the time, photo ID. If you're going to rent a moped or rent a bicycle, you're going to present photo ID. Have we made the point? I think we have. Now, in a "see, I told you so" moment, the White House won't rule out a commutation. Do you remember me saying the other day, see, when you're dealing with liars, you have to be very precise. And the media was stupid. Surprise. Or even worse, complicit, wanting to aid Joe Biden. Oh, he said he wouldn't pardon. He didn't say he wouldn't commute the sentence. You see how they do it? So with liars like this, you have to come up with every possible way. 2 plus 2 is 4. 1 plus 3 is 4. 4 plus 0 is 4. 5 minus 1 is 4. I mean, you have to cover every base to the president and to the press secretary. Will President Biden pardon his son, Hunter Biden, who is a convicted felon? Although he's not a convicted felon because he hasn't been sentenced. But they call Trump a convicted felon, so I'm going to call him a convicted felon. He's a federally convicted felon. Trump is JV. Trump is only a state convicted felon. Although they did tie it to a federal crime, but yet he's not been convicted of a federal crime. You understand, right? You understand what they did. It's like, ha, 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 suckers. So the White House won't rule out a commutation for Hunter Biden. Now, I've told you, we're all busy. You're busy. I'm busy. We don't even have time to waste with these freaks, these liars, these horribly bad people. So just understand, I promise you, now unless he dies or something, and then Kamala Harris will do it, Joe Biden is going to pardon his son. Oh, but Harry, he says he won't. Believe him, or you can believe me. I have 32 years in exactly 7 days, or I'm sorry, 17 days to back up what I say. And it's simple for me. I know Joe Biden. He's a congenital liar, and I do believe he loves his family immensely, intensely. It is impossible. It's not impossible for me to believe. It is impossible that he won't. I know he will. 100%. He is going to pardon his son. And whether it comes on November 6th or it comes on January 20th, it's going to happen. Because what they're saying now is not believable. I mean, this is a family that is self-indulgent, self-absorbed, entitled. They believe no laws, no rules. They're in utter disbelief that Hunter Biden was convicted in Delaware. They picked the prosecutor. They picked the jurisdiction. And they still lost. They can't believe it. They literally can't believe it. Trust me on that point. But I know. I know what I know. And don't anybody give me, the workover job if he commutes it first. Oh, you're wrong. He commuted it. He didn't pardon him. He is going to pardon him. It just isn't going to happen right now. But he's not going to let his son go to jail. I can promise you that. Now, maybe after the sentencing, the judge allows Hunter to stay out pending appeal, and he doesn't have to do it right away, but it is going to happen. I know it. You know, there's things that I think and there's things that I know. This I know. You would think, whether it was the ghost of Mrs. Muir in that interview or any of these other opportunities, that someone would have said, I mean, I thought of it. I said, hey, they keep saying he won't pardon him, but they're not saying, you know, keep in mind, for example, President Trump gave out pardons and he also gave out commutations. I think you know, but let me take a second just to explain. A presidential commutation does not take the conviction away, but it treats it as though you served the entire penalty, so you don't have to go to jail. I think it was President Bush, too, that commuted the sentence of Scooter Libby. He did not pardon him. His rationale was that, you know, the jury had made a decision and that he wasn't going to undo that, but he didn't believe that Scooter Libby going to jail was something that should happen. So he commuted. You know, I know it's better to get a pardon than a commutation because with a pardon, it literally goes away like it never happened. You do not have an arrest record. You do not have a conviction record. See, with a commutation, you have the charge, you have the conviction. The only thing is you don't have to go to jail. So maybe initially, if it's necessary, it might not even be necessary. The pardon may happen before all appeals are exhausted. Now remember, a judge, Noriega, could order Hunter Biden to jail. I will tell you that being a first-time offender, this 25 years that you hear about is not applicable. The sentencing guidelines are 15 months to 21 months for Hunter Biden's 3 federal convictions. Judge Noriega, if she were to grant probation, that would be below, off the standards of the sentencing guidelines. But she could do it. She would just be required to explain why she's doing it. You know, I'm going to sentence this defendant to probation, and here's why. She would have to give a reason. I don't know what the reason would be, but she would have to come up with a reason. I think she's going to give Hunter some time. Maybe low end of the sentence, maybe something that is part actual jail time and then maybe part home confinement, maybe all home confinement, maybe total probation, but he's not going to get a ton of time. I'll make another prediction after the break, and then I got to move on from Hunter because we have so much, including Merrick Garland. Not a more deserving person breathes in our country today that deserves to be criminally charged more than Merrick Garland does. I'll explain a little later in the hour.
People all over the Jersey Shore have found the easiest way to stay connected to South Jersey's talk station. It's the WPG Talk Radio app. Read free, unlimited South Jersey news. Listen to your favorite talk shows. Send us breaking news tips and more. The WPG Talk Radio app is powered by Smokers Haven. You'll find the finest selection of cigars at any of their 5 locations. Stop in and let them help you find the perfect cigar to pair with your life. SmokersHavenNJ.com.
Fox News commentary.
Loud aircraft noise exposure is now an excuse for obesity. Excuses, and more excuses. I'm Tommy Lahren. More next.
Angie's List is now Angie, and we've heard a lot of theories about why.
I thought it was an eco move. Fewer words, less paper.
No, it was so you could say it faster.
No, it's to be more iconic.
Must be a tech thing.
But those aren't quite right. It's because now you can compare upfront prices, book a service instantly, and even get your project handled from start to finish.
Sounds easy.
It is, and it makes us so much more than just a list. Get started at Angie.com. That's ANGI, or download the app today.
Seems like we get a new excuse for obesity on a weekly basis, and the narrative has become, if you're fat, it couldn't possibly be your fault. But a new study has birthed yet another excuse: aircraft noise exposure. According to a study conducted by researchers at Boston and Oregon State Universities and published in the Environment International paper, regular exposure to loud aircraft noise could be linked to obesity. The research found that nurses living near airports who endured noise 45 decibels or higher were 5% more likely to be obese, and with louder noise, the likelihood increased to 11%. Interesting research, but sorry, this is quite the stretch. Loud noise isn't fun, and it might cause a person to sleep poorly, but it doesn't make a person eat like crap or refuse to exercise. Enough with the excuses. Time for personal responsibility. I'm Tommy Lahren, and you can watch my show, Tommy Lahren is Fearless, at Outkick.com.
Starting your day the right way with Hurley in the morning. WPG Talk Radio 95.5 and the WPG Talk Radio app. You're listening to Hurley in the morning.
It's a source I can trust.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5.
All right, this Pocket Kreskin moment is presented by your humble public servant, Hurley in the morning. Hereby, I do declare that Hunter Biden will settle the tax case. The tax case will not go to trial in September. Perhaps they maneuver for something to get it put off until after the election. Here's what I promise you. Joe Biden cannot afford for that tax trial, the Hunter Biden tax trial, which is scheduled for September, to take place right in the throes of the end of the election season. And here's why. Bank records and all kinds of things that will come out implicate Joe Biden as well. They have to short-circuit it. They have to stop it. And remember, Joe Biden, I default to my earlier position. Joe Biden is going to pardon Hunter anyhow. So this guy could get convicted every day. Just make sure you, Hunter, if you're listening, keep committing only federal crimes, though. You don't want to commit any state-level crimes. So I know it. They can't let that trial happen. So remember the two scenarios. Either they somehow succeed, although the judge doesn't seem to be agreeable to that. And in fact, there was a concession made, and the concession was made under a guaranteed promise that they would not ask for any more extensions. So it's September, or bust, which means they have to settle it. Now, unless the government won't settle, but I think Hunter even has to take what looks like, a pretty rough deal, because it doesn't matter. If somebody told you owe them $1 billion, but wink, wink, I'm never going to make you have to pay it. Okay, put it on my tab. No harm, no foul, no problem. So again, under the heading, I know what I know. That's how that's going to go. Just think about this. It's I've said this before. This should be a Stockton University 4-course credit every single semester, and you get it for free. But that's what's going to happen. There's no question about it. When we come back, I would like to talk about Merrick Garland. In my estimation, he is a real lowlife. And it's scary that a guy like that is the top law enforcement person in the country. It's really, really, it should scare everyone, because this is a person that acts principled. But I find him to be a scoundrel. Now remember, as you go into the break with me, they gave Congress the transcript of Biden's interview. So they waived. They can't say we executive privilege. You gave the transcript. So when the audio is subpoenaed, Merrick Garland is a criminal right now. He hasn't been charged because he's not going to charge himself. But he's, like Trump is going to be saying a lot, you're a non-convicted, an unconvicted criminal. Because he is now formally, just like Eric Holder, in contempt of Congress. The only difference is they're so corrupt that only people like Steve Bannon and Roger Stone and Peter Navarro and Donald Trump, people like that. Have you noticed? Anybody that says it's not a two-tiered system of justice, then why is it just one side? And don't tell me Hunter Biden. No, that's a canard. All right, I'm going to make the case about Merrick Garland when we come back.
This is the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network.
Well, I took 12 minutes and 52 seconds and I viewed a video that was absolutely disgusting. Laquetta Small, abysmal conduct with the Absecon police. Read all about it. It's filed. It's there. Atlantic City Councilman wearing a small censure as a badge of honor. And a small mayor called a resident, allegedly, but it seems pretty apparent, a dope fiend. That and more on the app. I'm Hurley in the Morning. We'll be right back.
From the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network, I'm Chief Meteorologist Dan Zarrow. Today is going to feel like a typical middle of summer day. Very warm, increasingly humid, mostly sunny and dry. We'll see a high around 85 this afternoon, 70s at the beaches. Clear skies tonight, low of 68, fairly comfortable. And tomorrow we're reaching for 90, hot with early sun, then clouds build in. Watch for a chance of showers and thunderstorms tomorrow afternoon and evening. Get weather 24/7 wherever you are. Download our free mobile app today. Here is an important safety.
You're waking up with Hurley in the Morning. WPG Talk Radio 95.5. You're listening to Hurley in the Morning.
We live in a society where everybody is offended.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5. South Jersey's talk station.
Wow, it's just flying by this morning. Thank you for spending this time with us. It's already 36 minutes past the hour. I can't believe it. Wide Open Forum coming up in actually now 29 minutes. And I'm looking forward to that. John Zarek at 8. And we have a wonderful cardiologist dropping by. We would have done it last week. Deborah asked to move it to this week because of the cardiologist's schedule. And we were happy to do it. So Deborah Heart and Lung Center will present a great discussion today, and our program topic is going to be advanced heart failure. Sounds scary, and we'll learn a lot together about it with Dr. Cynthia Koss. That's coming up in the first half of the 9 o'clock hour. So the United States House of Representatives patiently waited and requested and re-requested and re-requested that Merrick Garland turn over the audio of the interview with Robert Hur and Joe Biden. We're now learning more things. And there's a reason. Understand, Merrick Garland is risking being criminally charged because he's protecting Joe Biden. There's no other explanation, and I'm usually very tolerant and open and persuadable. I won't listen to anything on this. I know it. There's no disputing it. They turned over the transcript because the transcript is sanitized. You do understand that every single day Joe Biden makes dozens of mistakes every day. And they just rewrite what he said. Sometimes they'll put in parentheses the correct item, and you can see that he got it wrong. And then sometimes they'll put unintelligible, and it's not true. Like when he said pause, they put in the transcript unintelligible. No, it was clear that he said 4 more years. Pause. He said it. I heard him say it. They didn't write that in the transcript. So the reason, and the Democrats can say all they want, and Merrick Garland can say you want it for the wrong reasons. You don't have the right to say that. You want to be a crook, and you want to defy a congressional lawful order subpoena, then be a crook. But you don't get to say, I'm not giving it to you because I don't like what you may do with it. The beauty is, now, they could have gotten this past the election. The beauty is they gave up the transcript. You can't say there's any threat to national security. You gave up the transcript. But here's the truth. When we get our hands on that audio, and we will, it's just a matter of when. And they can't lose it. They'd love to lose it, but they can't. We're going to see the reason why Merrick Garland wouldn't turn it over. Now, we're finding out new things in it, such as twice Joe Biden didn't know what a fax machine was. I mean, this is scary stuff. He didn't know when he was vice president. He didn't know when he was president. He didn't know when his son, Beau, died. Could you ever not know the date your child died? You know the dates your children are born. I could name my 3 right now. Easily. February 22nd, Kristen. March 24th, Lauren. July 20th, Robert, formerly known as Harry Robert Hurley Jr. So there you have it. You could only forget that if you're damaged. And I don't say this with any, I say it with sadness. Our president is broken. He has significant issues, which because of the hatred of Trump and the desire to retain power, people fake like nothing's wrong. And you know that's not true. Especially you 30 or 35% that keep polling that you don't think anything's wrong. Come on. Who the hell are you kidding? There's a lot wrong, and you know it. And it's getting worse because he's got the kind of thing that always gets worse. You think about it. I thought he was in pretty bad shape in 2020. Back in 2020, his eyes were much more wide open. Now they are. It doesn't even matter. It's not sun. We all squint in the sun. His eyes are barely open. There was one exception, and it was right before a major speaking occasion where he didn't blink. His eyes were open like, I mean, I don't even know what to describe them. But don't worry, there's nothing unusual about that. That's why he hides behind those aviator sunglasses whenever he can. So Merrick Garland, found in contempt of Congress, a criminal referral has been sent to the Department of Justice. Now, let's be candid. Let's be real. Let's be honest. It's what we do. All the above, and then some. Merrick Garland is not going to get charged by his own Justice Department. That's not happening. So, in other words, he is committing a crime. He won't be convicted. And this is why I don't want anyone to tell me, don't waste my time. I'll talk to anybody about almost anything. Don't waste my time and tell me that we don't have a two-tiered system of justice. Because they would drop the hammer on you. But they do this kind of stuff with impunity. And then Garland says that the Republicans are using the contempt vote as a political weapon. Give me a break. This man that has weaponized the Department of Justice like no time in the history of the Republic. And then, of course, all the Democrats, 207 of them, voted against. It was 216 to 207 it passed. But every single Democrat voted no on the resolution. This is how corrupt the Democrat Party is in our country. No patriots. All corrupt Democrats. Garland becomes the third Attorney General to be held in contempt of Congress in the history of the country. Interesting to note, and you can see how things are now, all of them have happened within 12 years. So for what? 230 some years. It never happened once. It's happened 3 times in 12 years. That's not good. It's not good at all. We'll be back. Don't go away. I am.
Starting your day the right way with Hurley in the morning.
It's a refreshing drive to work in the morning.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5. You're waking up with Hurley in the morning on South Jersey's talk station, WPG Talk Radio 95.5. You're waking up with Hurley in the morning.
Ocean City.
EHT.
Brigantine.
Mays Landing.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5.
Hey, thank you. Welcome back. 49 minutes past the hour. Hey, a little fun fact. I did some work with their team yesterday. Dom Giordano will be broadcasting his program. He's moved, if you don't know. He's still at WPHT, the Big Talker. I love calling it the Big Talker. I don't think they ever should have gone away from that. So memorable, so perfect. Anyhow, they call themselves something else now. But I love the Big Talker name. Dom moved to noon to 3. He used to be 9 a.m. to 12 noon. So I actually got to hear my friend Dawn Stensland a little bit because I was connected in my headset to their station, and Dawn was on, and she sounded great. She was a news person, and she now has her own program in the morning. And Rizzioli, another friend of mine, he moved to later in the day. Anyhow, Dom will be broadcasting not only from the bowels of Town Square Media, South Jersey, here at Broadcast Center, but Dom will be broadcasting live and direct straight from my Hurley in the Morning studio. So we're looking forward to that. I'll probably pop on at some time Monday or Tuesday. That's I've been offered. I haven't, taken them up yet on it or arrived at an exact time or anything, but I'll probably pop up. But anyhow, he'll probably mention it, from time to time where he's broadcasting from. So the Merrick Garland in contempt of Congress. Now, you do understand they can say what they want. They can say it's political. They can do this. They can do that. That is now, this man was willing to stain his own record to protect Joe Biden. Can you imagine how bad this audio is? Now, understand, they gave up the written transcript. But it would, and another thing, it should have been videotaped. Just like Bill Clinton was videotaped. And you could see him with his purple face, and he was just seething at the indignity of having to sit for that deposition when he talked about, it depends what the meaning of the word is. And he gave an almost demonic look. Like, look, you see what I just did? Depends what the meaning of the word is. Jack Chitterelli. Who says that? Who does that? I'm telling you, go look at the video. He was purple. I never saw that color before, like magenta almost. So Merrick Garland is in contempt of Congress, and a criminal referral has been forwarded to the Department of Justice. He was willing to stain his career, his permanent record, because let's face it, in the history of Merrick Garland as Attorney General, there'll be a lot of things written. They'll talk about how he was a nominee for the United States Supreme Court but did not get a hearing. They'll do that. And I'll tell you, I did not like when Joe Biden picked him, and he picked him on purpose. Could you think about it? Could you find someone with more of an axe to grind against Republicans than Merrick Garland? He didn't even get a hearing, and he was prevented from becoming an Associate Justice of the United States Supreme Court for life. And that can never happen now. Wow. I mean, think about that. So Biden picks him on purpose because Biden knows he's got a syndicate to cover up. And let's pick somebody that will never touch him and will go after as many Republicans as they can. But that audio must be so terrible. And I guarantee you another thing. That audio will not match the transcript. I guarantee it. Sight unseen, I know it. If it was word for word, they would just turn it over. But what you're going to have is you're going to have a bumbling, stumbling, feeble, whatever, demented, whatever, man that is not able to recall the most basic things. Let me ask you this, seriously, with the world on fire right now, does it concern you just a little bit that on that Robert, and this is not me confirming it, it's established, that Robert Hur interview establishes that Joe Biden doesn't know what a fax machine is twice, that he doesn't know when he was vice president, doesn't know when his son died? I mean, you've seen all the times where he's referred to himself as a senator. He's referred to Kamala Harris as the president. He doesn't know. It's not his fault. It's a tragedy. But don't think that all the things that we're dealing with, American weakness around the world, the way that the bad actors, I call them the Batman villains, how they all get together, there's no fear. They feared Putin and the rest of them. They feared Trump. Trump told Putin once, say, you know those colorful buildings you have with the finials on the top? If you even think about going into Ukraine, I'm blowing them up. And Putin said, you're kidding, right? And Trump said, don't test me. Trump was having dinner with President Xi while he was doing something very adverse to China in real time. And he said, oh, by the way, this is happening right now. Boom. Just dropped it on him. Now you see Saudi Arabia is not going to utilize the dollar. If you think about it, and this is something that I've talked about on this program, if the world gangs up and they take the dollar out of the fold of being the world's backup currency, I don't even have enough hours in today's program to tell you how many negative implications there are about that. It's just like understood. The dollar is the world's backup currency. No, not anymore. First Saudi Arabia, somebody else will be second. I'll tell you, we have to get together as a country and just acknowledge that Joe Biden is unacceptable. We have to reject him. We have to pray for him. We have to wish him well. And what he really needs to do, his wife needs to go take care of him and stop thirsting for insatiable power. Take care of your husband because he's a hot mess and you know it. I can't stand these interviews when people like Joe Biden talk about how sharp, Jill Biden rather, how sharp her husband is. Nobody can keep up with him. Stop it. Stop saying this crazy stuff. If Pee Wee Herman stood next to Arnold Schwarzenegger back in the day, are you going to confuse Pee Wee Herman for Mr. America? I don't think so. That's what they're trying to do. You're not going to confuse olive oil for Raquel Welch? No offense, but you're not. And Joe Biden is not sharp. We can't all keep up with him. I'm so tired of hearing these people. You should see what we see behind the scenes. Well, then I keep saying, well, then let us in then. Let him out then. What do you mean? You see something we don't see. In what world does a political figure not put their best foot forward and put their best face on in public? You're telling me we get the worst and you see the best? Oh, yeah, we can't keep up with him. He's so fast. Well, none of us can keep up with Joe Biden. Then I'll tell you what, you better go to your doctor. I'm going to make the appointment for you. You better get the hell in there and get a full workup, because if you can't keep up with him, you've got a big problem. Stop lying to us. Stop it. And this is why the expression elections have consequences. This is the most consequential election in our lifetime, one of the most important in the history of the Republic. And I'm telling you, if these monsters win, we lose our country. And you've never heard me say that before. I've always said that an administration is recoverable from, survivable from. We lose the country if they win. That's the stakes. We'll be back.
From Harry Hurley Way in the world's playground to the broadcast pioneers of Philadelphia Hall of Fame, you're about to find out why Harry Hurley has been named to the Talkers Magazine list of the 100 most important talk show hosts in the nation. Live from the studios of Town Square Media in Northfield, it's Hurley in the Morning on WPG Talk Radio 95.5 and the WPG Talk Radio app.
It is 6 minutes past the hour. Wide open forum this entire hour. It only works with your participation. So I hope that you will check in at 609-407-1450 with whatever is important to you. We'd love to take your call. 609-407-1450. Please check in. Welcome to Hurley in the Morning. You're on the air.
Yes, good morning. It's me, the Flash.
Yes.
I want to bring up something. Hold on.
By the way, Flash, I have to say, I'm going to wait though till you come back, because I want everybody to hear it, but I want you to hear it. Flash, are you back?
Yes.
Okay. I wanted to wait to make sure you were back from the important meeting that you just went to. Flash, I've nicknamed a lot of people in my life. I may have come up with that from a friend that passed long ago, Mark Edis. Mark Edis always had a nickname for just about everybody that he liked. So mine was easy. It was double H, but not two H's. He would spell it out, Doubleh. And I even have a couple of notes written that way. So he always had a nickname. I like nicknames. I don't like to create nicknames that are unkind. But it came to me in speaking with you that we talk for whatever length of time you want to talk for, and then you go quick. So I just came up with that you're the Flash. And I think you'll agree we've made that famous, Flash.
That's cool. That's right on.
Yeah.
Anyway, Mark Hamill was promoting who he should be president. He's encouraging Americans to get out and vote.
Oh, you're going to make me throw up in my mouth. Go ahead.
I know.
His appearance, Flash, his appearance at the White House, I was embarrassed for it.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Anyway, My first red pill was John Todd. Now, if you go on Google, you don't just put John Todd. You put John Todd because he's been labeled a conspiracy theorist. Or if you go to YouTube, you got to put in John Todd witchcraft because that's how he was raised. He was raised in it. Now, I don't know if it's true, but he claims to have been a descendant of the Collins family. Now, I never knew about Francis with an A, not an I, as being the founder of witchcraft here in America, the left-hand path. The left-hand path, understand, that's under Stonehenge are 4,000 human remains, and all those bones show trauma. So it's not a graveyard. That was a sacrifice site. And that's just one of many sacrifice sites that were in ancient England and Scotland. But nonetheless, Francis Collins was in the Massachusetts Bay Colony, there was the Collins Bay sub-colony within Massachusetts Bay Colony. That's where Salem, Massachusetts got its start. That's where Plymouth got its start. Plymouth, see, the devil's always side by side with God because that's where the northern jurisdiction of the York Rite of Freemasonry was started in Plymouth. But the first Masonic Lodge was in Boston. Nonetheless, he claims to have that lineage. And also, when he brings up stuff that I can go and look at and find out that he's on the level, makes it believable. His handler was Raymond Buckland. I never, ever heard. He came in here in 1962, the year of my birth, and he brought Gardnerian witchcraft, which is Wicca. That's the right-hand path. But he himself says, don't be deceived by the right-hand path. They don't know who they really worship. We worship Lucifer. They believe Lucifer is a god with a capital G. But he said, no, when he had become a Christian and saved out of that cult, because that's what it is. It's a cult. It's a satanic cult. But anyway, when he was saved out of it, people were trying to encourage him to watch Star Wars. And so, no, it's a really nice family-oriented movie, and they talk about the Force. They said, oh, boy, that was a red flag for him because in witchcraft, that's what it's referred to as the Force. And he said, who's acting in it? It's, oh, boy, Mark Hamill. Well, he was raised in the Illuminati, so he knows Mark Hamill's an Illuminist. So Mark Hamill, he was saying, be a good American and vote for Biden. Now, if he had said Trump, now understand, of all rich people who are Illuminists, okay, if that were the case, the Illuminati communist bees that they are, they wouldn't be pushing class warfare because then they'd have people attacking themselves. No, they have class warfare against regular people like Donald Trump who aren't members of the club. So that being said, if Mark Hamill had promoted Donald Trump, I'd say, man, he must have had a change of heart because these people have been here with us all along, all the way back. And yeah, it's going to end with the Antichrist facing up against Jesus Christ, and Jesus Christ is going to kick his cane, of course. But we need to prepare ourselves mentally, physically, and spiritually. Thank you.
Thank you, Flash. Did that see what I mean? Wow, Flash. I have to say that you make me feel like the moderate that I never knew I was. All I can say to all of that is, wow. The Flash, he loves a good conspiracy theory. He loves it. He'll admit it. I'm not talking behind his back. He'd admit it. 609-407-1450, an open phone line. Politico is reporting that Joe Biden has said that Hunter would have gotten a plea deal if he, meaning Joe, wasn't running for re-election. Now, the only problem with that is, first of all, it's a lie. So on its face, that makes it a problem. But Joe Biden's saying it, so of course it is a lie because he lies. I'm telling you, I don't know when he tells the truth about anything. I've never seen anybody like this before. You know, they say that politicians tell some tales. My God, this Joe Biden, everything. You know, he drove an 18-wheeler. He joined the NAACP when he was 15 or 16 or 14. I think it was 14. He grew up in a Puerto Rican church, he says. But then, of course, he grew up 10 other places. I mean, I could go on and on and on and on with this guy. Just lies about everything, both big and small. So let me tell the truth here. Hunter Biden had a plea deal, but they ridiculously went too far. David Weiss went way too far with like lifetime amnesty and all this craziness. He had a plea deal that he agreed to. So that's a lie. How do you say that when we know they had a plea deal? He says he couldn't get a plea deal because he's running. And what he's doing is he's taking Trump's line of Trump saying he's being prosecuted because he's running. That's all he's doing. It's your, proverbial transference, projection. 609-407-1415 open phone line. Welcome to Hurley in the Morning. You're on the air.
Yes, good morning, Mr. Hurley. I have a theory about what's going to happen with Joe Biden.
Well, I want to hear your theory. Go. And good morning to you.
My theory is that he can now use the excuse. He will realize how unhealthy he is, and he will announce before the convention that he is not going to run again, but he will complete his term. In the meantime...
By the way, that would be save right there, ... in the meantime, and I'll come back to you with that in a second. I'm not voting for that. I'm not rooting for that. I want Joe Biden to be the candidate. If he's not the candidate, it doesn't matter who they put in. And I don't think they would put in Kamala Harris. And so, people are going to flip out about that. It'll either be like a Michelle Obama and Gavin Newsom, I think, is awful. But here's what will happen. They will immediately poll, and whoever the Democrat is will be polling ahead of President Trump. I guarantee you. Now, I hope we don't get to test that. Your theory is, I think it's really solid. I would only massage it a little bit. I heard what you said and how you said it. Here's how I would say it. I want to do another term. I know I can do another term, but I've got to focus on my family right now, my son, making sure that he, stays healthy, that he doesn't relapse, that he stays, solid in his recovery. And I need to take a step back. I think that would be the way. And if you think about it, it would be perfect for Biden. He utilized his family that had died before as a political prop. Everything about him is disingenuous like that. To me, that would be the perfect way to say it. Go back to the ... in the meantime.
I would agree with what you are saying as well.
Thank you.
But in the meantime, he will turn all of his delegates over at the convention to whoever the Democrats decide would replace him.
Stay with me, gentlelady. This is very important. Your call is extremely instructive here today. Let me remind our listeners of something. This gets a little complicated because Ohio, and this has happened several times over the many years, because of the timing of their election season, Biden is going to get the nomination by a virtual convention that the Democrats are going to hold. He's actually going to hold the delegates formally so that he can be on the Ohio ballot. They could have voted. Republicans probably, excuse me, my allergies are so bad the last couple of days. The Republicans probably should have just put Biden on the ballot, because now he's actually going to get the nomination formally ahead of time. So this could have been perfect. Your scenario could have been perfect because at the convention, the superdelegates control everything on the Democrat side anyhow, but they would not yet have been awarded. So I want to just point out to you, in case you don't know, and to any listeners that don't know, because of the Ohio ballot, Biden is actually going to become the Democrat nominee earlier than he would have. Back to you.
Correct. Okay. So let's say he turns the delegates over to whoever the convention decides they want, with the understanding that he's still the president until December, the end of December. However,
until January 20th.
Right. However, somewhere around the Thanksgiving holidays, he will decide that he's going to resign, which would make Kamala Harris president for 2 months, which would keep her very happy because her name is in the record book. And then the person who got the nomination for president at the convention will become the president, or will become...
Let me ask you a question. Would that person then get appointed to become the vice president and actually be able to run for president as the sitting vice president? Come on now, look what we're pulling off here together. What do you think of that?
That's exactly possible.
Well, keep in mind, the House approves the president, the Senate approves the vice president. The vice president could be confirmed in the Democrat Senate. They wouldn't be able to stop it, I don't think, Republicans. And who would want to stop? You know, I wouldn't be for that. You want to have succession in line. So that candidate, I'm telling you, you are onto something that I have not heard anyone put it as well as you have today. Anyone.
Well, I thank you for saying that. There's one little other thing here that has nothing to do with who's going to be president, but I heard on Fox early this morning that for the trip to Italy that Biden just made,
he's there.
He took his entire family except for Hunter because he can't leave the country. His entire family is spending time in Italy, and doesn't that, with all the back and forth that Jill made last week, doesn't that just throw in our face we can spend your money any way we want? But he's not going to care because he's not going to continue to become president. He's not going to run. He will be done before the convention.
Well, I got to tell you, this is eerily plausible. I don't want this, but I'm buying what you're selling here today. If it was a stock, an IPO, I'd be making an initial purchase here, asking Chuck Malamut to place the trade. I'm pretty good with voices. Is this the first time that you and I have ever spoken?
No,
okay.
I've called you before.
Okay, all right. You sound
not often, but I've called. Okay. I listen often, but I haven't called very often.
Well, you call when you have something to say because you made a lot of sense here today. I have to say, you've scared me because it's extreme. I mean, the Democrats want Joe Biden out. I think you and I will both agree on that. They haven't been able to find a way, and this hasn't really come out publicly very often or in strong enough way for it to take root. The Democrats did try to get Joe Biden out, and Jill Biden and the group that has all this power right now, they don't want to give it up.
Correct. Yep.
Well, I think I want you to be wrong, but don't take that in the wrong way. Take it in the best way, because I want President Trump to run against Joe Biden. I don't want it to be somebody gets dropped in at the last second that doesn't have to go through, the vetting, and there's something very dangerous about that, the unknown. Right now, I mean, I'm going to share some polls after your call, and we'll take another call, and then maybe after the bottom of the hour break, I'm going to share some polls. This thing is teed up right now for Trump to win. You change the math, you change the matchup, and who knows what this is going to look like.
Exactly. And you know what's really sickening of the whole thing? When you know that the Senate is held by the Democrats and they can't find one person that's worthy to run for president, it's really, really sad.
It's terrible. They have no bench strength.
And yet the Republicans down the line, there are so many.
It's true.
Who could become president. But anyway, nice talking with you.
Very, very worthy. Oh, it's a 3-course, blue plate special that you served up. A very worthy phone call that you have made today. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Have a good day.
You do the same.
Bye-bye.
Oh my God. She just stirred me up. Let's get the break in. When we come back, you will be next. Don't go away. It is the Hurley in the Morning program. And as I try to achieve each morning with you, but I can only do it when there's new data. I will not. Some people, complain. I'm not going to mention any names, but in our business, that there are people that, oh my God, they say the same thing every day. I don't regurgitate the same polls. I come back to you with new data, and I have more to share with you today. 609-407-1450. You can check in right now. This is the Truth in Broadcasting. I call it the People's City Hall. Mayor of the Morning for life. I support term limits for every single office except my own.
Hurley in the Morning.
Harry Hurley is the only person that can make sense of what's happening in Atlantic City.
On WPG Talk Radio 95.5.
Your morning cup of Sean. This is the Sean Hannity Morning Minute.
Now, we got the latest inflation numbers year over year. Again, the last 4 months have been 3.2% year over year, 3.5% year over year, 3.4% year over year, and in May it's 3.3% year over year. But they say less than expected. Less than expected? I thought inflation, no, we're done with that. It's under control. Consumer price index. What does it mean? You're still paying about $12,000 more for the very things you were buying back in 2020. The economy is in a horrible state, and the economy is not working for the American people. And you have 25% of Americans that are foregoing meals. I mean, at some point, when do we say enough is enough?
The conservative underground meets later today on the Sean Hannity Show.
Getting quality employees to fill positions in your company is essential, but finding those people can be a major hassle, unless you use ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter makes finding quality people a breeze. And right now you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. With ZipRecruiter, one click sends your job to hundreds of top job sites. But more than that, ZipRecruiter's advanced technology identifies the candidates with the skills you need, sends you a list of great matches to review, then actively invites them to apply for your job. And the results speak for themselves. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. That's right, the first day. Now you can focus on your business and let ZipRecruiter do the work finding the best people for you. See for yourself. Experience the ease, efficiency, and power of ZipRecruiter for free. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Hurley in the morning. WPG Talk Radio 95.5 and the WPG Talk Radio app. Hurley in the morning.
They stick to the facts.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5.
Thank you. Welcome back. 28 minutes past the hour. Welcome to Hurley in the morning. You are on the air. Thanks for calling in.
Hi, good morning, Harry. Thanks for taking my phone call.
My pleasure.
Your previous caller, I appreciate where she's going with this. I don't buy it. I just think that, and I'll tell you why I don't buy it, is because you hear in the background this rumbling that they can't stand each other, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. He's not going to give her a win like that to step aside and let her be president. He just won't do it, I'm telling you, because he's Mr. Narcissist. He's going to prove that I can beat Trump a second time. That wasn't, fixed the last election. That's what he thinks in his head, of course. I don't think he's going to win, but I think in his mind he thinks I can beat Trump. Don't worry, just watch me. And that's why I don't see him stepping aside, Harry. I don't see it happening.
Well, I don't see it happening either, but I'll tell you what, though, it was really something to listen to and not a wild, scheme. I mean, it would, let's put it this way. Would you be shocked if somehow, some way, Joe Biden was not the Democrat nominee? Would you be surprised?
No, I wouldn't be surprised. Right. I just think right now, I think
he is going to be the nominee, but I would not be at all surprised because, look, his numbers, I'm going to share it in between your calls, his numbers are terrible. And this is after his opponent has been convicted of 34 felonies. I mean, Trump's numbers have just gotten stronger and stronger in all the battleground states, which is going to, none of the other states are going to change if Trump commits 200 more felonies. But the battleground states, about 7 of them are the key, and Trump leads in 6, and he's tied 48-48 in Virginia. I mean, right now, it is bleak for Joe Biden. So I would not be surprised if the Democrats pushed him out.
I think in the way it's going right now, Harry, I think I think his wife runs everything, his wife and Obama. I think as long as they're around breathing and run the show, I mean, she loves the power. She's not going to let him step aside. Even if he wanted to, I don't see her letting him do it. And even Obama, the way he's doing all the things done, because...
Well, keep in mind, Obama and Biden do not like each other. Obama has been leaking bad stuff about Biden. They're at best frenemies. Obama, I know that Andy and Brigantine thinks Obama runs the show. Obama does not run the show. Now, some of Obama's people do. So indirectly, of course, Barry Soetoro Obama is the puppet master behind the scenes, but he can't do it overtly. He would have to do it through his people. You know, getting Ron Klain in there as the prime minister, that was a big deal for the first year and a half or 2 years, however long that lasted. So I think you're right. I think he is going to be the nominee, but there is a really mounting, compelling case for Joe Biden to step down, or for them to find a way to have him leave the race.
The only thing I want to make is I think he's a pincushion. What I mean by that, Harry, is just look at the State of the Union. How many adrenaline shots or B12 shots did he probably have to take that day before he even got there and started speaking? So I think as long as they can give him these shots and he can take them, I mean, he's going to be around. I
think you're right. I'm not disputing it at all. I just appreciate the dialogue that we're having. Keep in mind, he is going to be in Delaware for 7 to 10 days. The debate is June 27th. He will be in Delaware for 7 to 10 days, completely lid on the government, and who knows what does a man with 55 years experience need to go away for a week or 10 days for? I don't care what anybody says. There is some kind of, experimental something. There's something going on here.
Oh yeah. He's going to disappear. You're not going to see him for a week and a half to 2 weeks before.
Well, they've announced, not 2 weeks, but they've announced it. He's going to be out of commission for 7 to 10 days before the debate. So if he comes there with the eyes wide open and he doesn't blink and he looks half lucid, then the media says, "Oh, look, he's really sharp." I mean, they're trying to pull the scam again.
Right, because Donna Brazil is going to fly in on her broom with the questions ahead of time is what's going to happen there.
Remember, though, he has to be able to remember them. I'm of the school that they could tell him the questions 5 minutes before he walks on the stage, and he won't remember them.
He won't remember them, exactly.
This is a guy, and people are testifying to this. It took him 10 minutes. He walked into the Oval Office. It took him 10 minutes to sit down. He was staring. He was meandering. I mean, they couldn't believe it. So he's in bad shape, and this is why he goes away for, it used to be 3 days. Now he's got to go away for at least a week, maybe 10 days. Good call. We'll talk again. Craig, you're next. Please don't go away. We'll be right back right after this.
This is the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network.
It is 33 minutes past the hour. Harry Hurley with 3 stories that you can follow right now on the WPG Talk Radio 95.5 app. LaQuetta Small, I've seen it for myself, 12 minutes and 55 seconds. She's not on all of it. She comes into it around 5 minutes and some odd seconds. But it is an abysmal appearance, abysmal conduct with the Absecon Police and LaQuetta Small. And the Atlantic City Councilman is wearing a small censure as a badge of honor. And the Atlantic City Mayor allegedly calls a resident a dope.
From the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network, I'm Chief Meteorologist Dan Zarrow. Our old nemesis, humidity, coming back into play today and especially tomorrow. It's not going to be steamy and tropical and suffocating, but noticeably stickier. Warm today, high of 85, 70s at the beaches with mostly sunny skies and dry weather. Clear tonight, low 68. Tomorrow we go from sun to clouds. Watch for strong thunderstorms late day, high of 90. Get weather 24/7 wherever you are. Download our free mobile app today.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5. You're listening to Hurley in the Morning.
Established, reputable.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5.
You know, I do not speak about commercials almost never. But that message was very important. That was a big point of emphasis at Talkers New York last week. The AM radio, taking that out of the car I don't have time right now to tell you how bad an idea that is and why that would be happening. You do not want that to happen. That is something for all of us to really stay on top of. I'm not being parochial. It's extremely important that remain. 609-407-1450, an open phone line. Craig, how are you?
Well, good morning, Harry.
Good morning.
And thank you for taking my call.
My pleasure.
Well, first I want to say one of your sponsors, Batteries and Bulbs.
Thank you.
I want to just tell people about my little experience. I sent my son with my cell phone that wasn't charging properly. I figured I needed a battery. So I went down there. It needed a little cleaning. No charge.
Wow.
Can you imagine?
Did your son mention that Hurley in the Morning sent you?
Absolutely. And I mean, just a simple fact that they were so courteous, you know.
By the way, and that's Roy and his team, and they are so honest. They're so good. Such good people. Let me tell you, you know this. How many people, oh, you want a battery? Yeah, absolutely. And they would just put a battery in.
Yep. Absolutely. Well, I've been there before. So it wasn't my first time there, and every single time my experience has been wonderful.
Good.
But, you know.
Craig is referring to, and they were Batteries Plus bulbs, are now going by Batteries Plus, and they're in Northfield right next to Broadcast Center and in Marlton, and they do it all. If you have a charging port that isn't working or it's come loose because the wire got caught and, you damaged it somehow, they can fix it all. The speaker they can fix. They can put a new screen on. They can put new batteries in. The key fobs to your car, if all of a sudden they're not working like they used to, that's because the battery is dying. They can do all these things while you wait. Anyhow, Craig, thanks for the mention. What else do you have?
Well, I was listening to the lady prior, and I think she's absolutely right. I also texted you a little bit earlier that I feel a little bit more secure, about 95% now that I'm going to get the free breakfast. But, and then I think I'm going to get the dessert because I think it is going to be Michelle that's going to be the Democratic nominee.
Well, I'll tell you, you would have been playing big-time three-dimensional chess if in the 12th hour you pull off the victory. Again, I would love to buy you breakfast and or lunch, but I don't want you to be right because we need Biden, who is completely beatable, to be the nominee. I don't want to give the media an opportunity to just jump right off of him and then promote the heck out of Michelle Obama or Gavin Newsom, and the next thing you know, we have a nightmare on our hands. So let's pray for Biden.
Well, I got to say that Michelle doesn't poll as well as one would think.
No, she doesn't. Trump beats her in the polling, but I just know it would be a completely different race. Do you know what I mean by that?
Yes, I got a question for you, though.
Yeah.
All right. So we got the Republican convention.
Yes.
So I've been going back and forth in my mind, and I'm thinking, I've been busy lately, so but maybe you could help me out and tell me what you think. Is Donnie going to have a bracelet on and be stuck in Mar-a-Lago, or is he going to be able to attend the convention? Because, as sick as this judge is, I just don't even think there's a limit to his madness.
He will not have a bracelet because he's not a flight risk and he has the Secret Service. That would be completely ridiculous to do that to him. So I'm going to say no to that. They're going to do things to make it aggravating, but he will be able to cross state lines. So, yes, no on the bracelet. Yes on Donald Trump will be accepting the Republican nomination, not virtually, but live and in person. He will be at the convention, and he will be able to travel. They're going to make stories out of he has to ask permission anytime he's traveling here and there, but they're only going to be able to aggravate him. They're not going to be able to stop him.
All right. So just with my little tinfoil hat, and I'll leave you with this, Obama's person who worked on his birth certificate, guess what? She got broadsided. Her and her husband are no more. That's 3. I just want to say, clean up in aisle 7.
Boy, I'll tell you, they do seem to have a lot of people die. Now, I don't know how old the people were or how exactly it happened. You said an accident, but it does seem like that, doesn't it?
Well, I got to tell you, Harry, I don't care.
The one guy drowned, right? That was weird, right? Was he naked or something and drowning?
Well, hold on. This is a guy that's an avid swimmer with a paddle boat, okay? And also, don't forget, there's two speedboats that the Secret Service have to go get somebody in that lake. But
he drowned, and he drowned naked, I understand, right?
Well, I'm not going to go there because I don't know. I don't want to make.
Okay, I'm asking. Yeah, I'm not going there either. I'm just asking.
Yeah. But, because you know me, I'm a little edgy to begin with. But if I knew that, I would say it.
I got you.
But I do know one thing. He was the chef, and they say that he knew intimate details about the Obamas. So, and also there was a woman in a plane, okay, that worked on something else with Obama. I forget exactly what it was, but the plane crashed in the water, and she's the only one that drowned.
Well, I do know this. I know there are people out there that they actually document and they record videos saying that I am not depressed. I am not going to commit suicide. There's just some weird stuff out there.
All right. Now, I just want to ask you this, Harry, because, they talk about an insurrection. Donald Trump had an insurrection.
Right, which he did not.
Against the President of the United States.
Right.
But how could Donald Trump have an insurrection against the President of the United States when he was the President of the United States at the time? How could he have an insurrection against himself?
Well, he couldn't. But I don't remember them saying he was having it against himself. They were saying it was an insurrection against the country and not letting a free and fair election and the orderly transfer of power to the next president. That's what they're saying, Craig.
I understand, but I had to
Just remember, though, everything they accuse him of, they do. They have submitted replacement electors. They have said that elections are not legitimate. Everything they accuse Trump of, they have actually done. And they want to, and they're prosecuting Trump people for being opposing electors. That's come up many times. We can go back to Bush v. Gore, and I forget who it was, but it was a major Democrat, Clyburn or somebody like that. They wanted to put up other electors that would vote for Al Gore. There's nothing new about that. He wasn't criminally charged.
You brought up Al Gore. Did you hear about the machines that weren't tallying up the votes properly? I think it was in Puerto Rico or, I think it was in Puerto Rico. Or it was an island. But, Harry, I'm telling you, they had a problem with the voting tabulation over there. And I'm not going to say anything because I don't want to get in any trouble.
There you go.
I don't need to go there.
There you go.
But I have my suspicions.
All right, Craig. Have a great day.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Appreciate it. 609-407-1450. If you'd like to check in when we come back, I'm going to share with you. It's not your run-of-the-mill polling data. This is a little different, what I'm going to be sharing with you.
In a world full of fake news, AI, and unverified information on social media, where can you get the latest, most accurate South Jersey news? WPG Talk Radio 95.5 and the WPG Talk Radio app. Don't wait for the newspaper to come in the mail. The WPG Talk Radio app is updated around the clock from New Jersey's largest radio news team. Accurate, dependable, reliable. When you need to know, it's WPG Talk Radio 95.5 and the WPG Talk Radio app. Starting your day the right way with Hurley in the morning on South Jersey's talk station, WPG Talk Radio 95.5. Hurley in the morning.
Not only the news, but perspective too.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5.
Hey, thank you. Welcome back. 52 minutes past the hour. Let me share a couple of quick polls, and then we're going to open up the phone lines. So don't go away. You will be next. I just sent you a little sign that you are next, a tone that only you got to hear. Trump leads in Pennsylvania in a Democrat poll. This is fantastic news. 47-45. Obviously, it's close in this poll, but I think it's more like a 5-point difference. So in a Democrat-leaning poll, I love it when Trump leads in those. And this is an interesting model. The Economist does this. And what they do is they look at all the states, and then, of course, in particular, they're looking at the battleground states. And the Economist model has Trump with a 2 in 3 chance of winning the presidency. In other words, Trump has a very wide path. Biden has to pull like a, what do they call it in cards, a royal flush. He's got a very, very narrow path. Trump's already at about 300 electoral votes. Some close to that being in the bag. But there's still a number of months to go, so don't get overconfident. Biden's at about 242 electoral votes. So he's in trouble, and they know it. The Monmouth poll, which is so Democrat, headline reads, Biden's border order does nothing for sagging approval. His poll numbers are terrible in this. Terrible. And then you have this Arizona poll, which is an AARP poll, and Trump is leading Biden in Arizona among voters 50 and older, 45% to 37%. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has 11% support. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is a nightmare for Joe Biden. I know what the Democrat media is trying to tell you, that he pulls more from Trump. Yeah, sure. Why hasn't Biden and Mayorkas given Kennedy Secret Service protection? Do you realize no one's ever been turned down that's asked for it? And he's at double digits in the polls. It's well inside a year before the election. And I'll tell you what, if he gets killed, he's already had someone come to an event of his with a gun, and his home has been broken into 3 times. If he is killed, the expression there is blood on the hands of Joe Biden and Alejandro Mayorkas, it is a disgrace what they're doing. Good morning, Bob.
Hey, good morning, Harry. Hey, I just want to talk about real quickly what Craig mentioned about one of your sponsors there, Batteries Plus, and that is a really good franchise, really good people. I'll tell you, I had my phone was not charging either, right? But I unfortunately was in Sarasota. That Batteries Plus, for cleaning that port, that charging port, they charged me $12. So these are good people here in Northfield. So Harry, you have good sponsors, and that's just a prime example. They know what goodwill is.
Yeah, thank you for that, Bob. How's everything going?
Going real well. Hey, I enjoyed, I don't know if you mentioned this, Harry, the congressional baseball game. I never watched that before, and I loved it last night. The Democrats got killed 31-11.
That's the 5th year in a row the Republicans have won.
Oh, the Republicans have a murderer's row there.
Yeah.
I'll tell you.
I love that you said that. By the way, when he's feeling better, Steve Scalise, as you know, that's where he was almost killed. He loves that game.
Oh yeah, Harry, they've got a murderer's row there. They've got some real athletes. They've got Eric Schmidt, the senator from Missouri. August Luger is a representative from Texas, and Greg Stubbe from Sarasota. Real studs, man. Those are.
By the way, for those who don't know, it's a fundraiser for charity. It's one of the rare times where the two parties really get along really well. I love the event also, Bob. Talked about it before the event, did not talk about it this morning, just too little time, but I'm really happy you brought it up. They have the real uniforms. I mean, it's a big deal game.
Oh, they take it seriously. I mean, they're practicing. Apparently, they practice an awful lot. They get up at 5:30 in the morning to go to practice, and
that's where Scalise got shot up.
Exactly. The Bernie Sanders Democrat nut job. Almost killed. I'll tell you what, Harry. He could have killed a number of congressmen and senators at that practice. It wasn't just Scalise getting hurt. They very lucky that there were some really brave I think they were DC policemen or Capitol Police people there, real heroes. Took this guy out. I think this guy had a very, very strong. I don't know if he had an AR-15 but with their handguns, they took this guy out. And
by the way, the only reason they weren't Capitol Police, because leadership of the Republican Party was there, that's the only reason they had police protection.
Wow.
Yeah. It was actually only that reason. Had it been a number of the members that don't have that type of protection, Secret Service protection and whatnot, they would have been all gone. There would have been no stopping the guy.
Yeah, that's right. You know, sick people that we're dealing with, Harry.
You're a very good prognosticator, and if you've been listening to any of the program this morning, a gentle lady made a very, very good point and defended it well about she does not believe that Biden will be the nominee. Do you believe Biden will be the nominee of the Democrats or that he will not be?
Well, look, Harry, you and the gentle lady are very correct in what's going on here is the Democrats absolutely want him out. He is not granting their wishes. I don't think, Joe Biden and Joe, they're stubborn people. They're people with a huge ego. They don't see reality. And
they also love to leverage their power too. So if you give it up, you don't have it anymore.
Exactly. No, I agree with you. He's not going to give it up. The only way they really give it up is if something like obvious happens, like a stroke, like something that a medical reason that he can't continue. But I don't see him giving it up. No.
That's why he's going to spend 7 to 10 days and prepare for the debate, whatever that means. That's why they're taking that amount of time. They have to somehow put back together the best version of Biden that they can do.
Harry, the deal was when he was crowned the nominee in 2020, and he was crowned.
Yeah.
All right. Just to say real quick, the deal was he was supposed to be a placeholder.
Yeah.
It was supposed to be one term.
He even said that. He said it.
Correct.
Yeah, exactly.
Correct.
But as you know, they never want to let go. They never want to lose power.
From Harry Hurley Way in the world's playground to the broadcast pioneers of Philadelphia Hall of Fame, you're about to find out why Harry Hurley has been named to the Talkers Magazine list of the 100 most important talk show hosts in the nation. Live from the studios of Town Square Media in Northfield, it's Hurley in the Morning on WPG Talk Radio 95.5 and the WPG Talk Radio app.
Thank you. Welcome back. It's not even 6 minutes past the hour, so we will take those bonus seconds with John Zarek. John Zarek is here. He is the official and exclusive lead counsel for criminal defense legal matters for the Hurley in the Morning program. This is Smart Law with John Zarek, presented and sponsored by the law offices of John Zarek, who are always standing by when you need help in the realm of criminal defense legal matters. All you have to do is, and remember, I'll be your human Rolodex if you need me, just call 609-641-2266 or visit John on the web, and then all the information that you need to reach John and Brendan, Stephanie, the entire team is right there at johnzarek.com. So 609-641-2266. The law offices of John Zarek focuses their efforts on criminal defense law with the goal to provide you with the very best legal defense for you and all members of your close-knit family, because everybody goes through the experience together. So it is a team approach. John, welcome to your program. Great to see you.
Great to be here.
You're looking well. You're looking fit.
I'm feeling well. Bruce keeps me in shape.
I love it.
My good dog. He's 4:30. He's ready to go.
Isn't it great? I mean, I live vicariously through my son's dog, Flynn, who will be with us tonight with my son. The unconditional love and the relationship. It's amazing, isn't it?
I don't know if he loves me at all. He just he knows I'm the guy who takes him running.
He loves you. You know, I have a theory, and I think I'm right about this, and I see it. I see it with Flynn, where I believe I rank number 3. It's just the truth. My daughter thinks she's third, so I could be as low as 4th, but I think I'm third. Margie's a definite second, and my son is number 1.
Yeah.
Dogs love many people, but they love one person the most.
Yeah, and they want to be controlled. They want discipline. They want to know where their place is, what they can do, what they can't do.
They want to please you. And if they think they haven't pleased you, you see that look.
Yeah.
They want that attention and affection that they did good.
Yeah, so he was pretty much a wild child. I guess I've had him like 3.5 weeks now. He was pretty much
John, one day, this is a perfect story for what you just said, and it's a very short story. Flynn, and he didn't mean it. We had these eating tables. You know, Rob had one, I had one, Margie had one, and it's a tight area. We were watching the TV, so instead of dining at the dining room table, we dined on these little tables. Flynn bumped into one of the tables. He's a big dog, and something spilled. He leaped onto the couch, did some like amazing jiu-jitsu 360 maneuver, and was right next to me.
Yeah, it's not me. It wasn't me.
And looking at Rob like
it wasn't my fault.
Oh, it was amazing.
Yeah,
they don't ever want to do bad.
So it's really, they're just like children. You know, if you have a child, then you discipline the child. If you're not the child's pal, like Bruce is not my pal. You know, he's a dog. He knows what his job is. But if I let him start to run the show and do what he wants to do all the time, then, he's going to be a little messed up.
So your training is going well, it seems.
Yeah, he's good. He's a good dog.
He listens, right?
Yeah, he listens. There's some, if he's off leash and he'll sit, he'll lay down, he'll come at a reasonable distance, but the real challenge is when we go to the beach every morning. So when the beach guys are there and they're moving the lifeguard stand from the storage area to the beach and setting it up, that's like a light show for him. I mean, a lot of people.
He wants to get involved.
Yeah, and so
a light show.
little challenging, But you can gradually work up to that. So he's named, his formal name is Bruce 6'4", which is the name of my friend. I think he's a friend. I don't know. I don't know if he considers me a friend. I'm joking, but yeah, we're pretty close friends. And Bruce 6'4", he was a lieutenant, ultimately a captain in the 101st Airborne in Vietnam. So he was he had a tracker platoon. So the idea was if you made contact with the 101st Airborne, they were going to fly these guys in, I think 26 guys and 4 dogs, fly them in, and they would basically track you down and kill you. So Bruce 6'4" was, so if these dogs are out in front and they can indicate that there's a bad guy around, that saves a lot of lives. And so his favorite dog was Bruce 6'4", and he couldn't bring the dog home, which is very unfortunate. Now they have programs where handlers can bring their dogs home in some circumstances.
That's how it should be.
So anyway, I named him Bruce 6'4". That was his dog's name is Bruce 6'4".
I know, but I want our listeners to hear. What's the breed of your dog?
He's an Alaskan Malamute.
Yeah, beautiful.
So
he's a big boy.
Yeah, a lot of fur, but he's not giant. He's not a.
How many pounds?
I'd say 50.
Okay, about the same as my son's dog.
He's just turned 3, so he's lean and he loves the run, and he's not like a pig when he eats. I mean, he just doesn't overeat.
How many times you feed him a day?
I feed him, 3 different times a day. Yeah. He's
some treats too.
Yeah, a few treats.
Yeah,
I little treats. God, the treat business.
I got a grand dog. I got to do my job.
The treat business. I think I'm going to get in the treat business because, when people, there's no magic about treats. Like if you take calf's liver or cow liver and beef liver and you desiccate it, like dry it, and then cut it up in chunks. Every dog in the world is going to eat that every single time.
Oh, they love the treats.
So, this is desiccated beef liver, or this is turkey, roast turkey desiccated. The advertising is great, but the fact is they like it all. They'll eat it all. But people get kind of hooked on this stuff sells for, $25 a bag or $35 a bag, because there are people, they love their dogs and they'll do anything.
It's true. And a lot of people feed their dogs human food, chicken and all kinds of stuff, and vegetables. You guys spend a lot of time together.
Yeah. Yeah. Every day.
Yeah.
Every day. So he's actually at the office right now. I dropped him off at the office. We were out, and then, stopped in Atlantic City and I got a egg white omelet.
Nice.
And Bruce got the stuff that goes with it that I don't eat.
Oh, there you go.
He loves to go to breakfast.
That's fantastic. I love it.
Yeah.
You can bring Bruce.
I can?
Yes.
All right.
Bring him.
You're going to... Yeah, he's a good boy.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's really, really a good boy.
Yeah, bring him. I can't wait.
Yeah, we went to a place... there's a place called Houndstown. And it's there's one in Egg Harbor and there's one in Galloway, 2nd Avenue in the White Horse Pike. And, I'm just saying it because it's just a great place. No sponsorship involved.
I understand.
I just like, good people.
Pure.
And so to get into Houndstown kennels, I had to, Bruce needed an interview. He needed an interview. So you take him, and he talks, and they walk around with him, and then they have other dogs that are.
Does he
friendly.
have to fill out paperwork?
Yeah,
he
did.
And an interview?
I translated.
Yeah,
translated.
Exactly.
And so. This is the way it is with, I guess, kids and dogs.
Yeah.
So Bruce came. I after the interview. They said he's very nice, he's non-aggressive, and, he looks like a good boy. Now, the next step before you stay overnight is you spend a day there, like in daycare. And what they do is, it's an interesting concept, started by Canine Officer NYPD, because he couldn't find a place like it, I suppose. And, they keep out any bad dogs.
Yeah.
And... They let them run. They let them all run loose in the pack all day long.
Well, they love that.
And they love.
Oh.
And so
when good dogs are together and none of them want to hurt anyone or anything, that's beautiful. They love that.
Yeah. So I learned that he, he really likes that, and that he was a good boy. He was not aggressive with any of the dogs. So you have to spend a day in daycare, like 8 to 5 or something.
Prove that.
To prove that he's okay with the crew. Then he can stay overnight.
And then you have to prove that.
Yeah.
Because they're all different things. Being good all day because they know you're coming back to get them. Yeah. They have to know that dog is okay for the whole night.
Yeah. So the strange thing about it is, and it's the same thing with kids. I remember these days, like I came back and he passed his interview. Oh, everybody was so happy.
Big deal.
My kids were happy. The grandkids were happy. He passed his interview.
It's a big deal.
Yeah, it's crazy. And then he did real well when he stayed during the day. And
you're on your way.
We did a couple overnights. And it really.
Oh, so he's done the overnight too?
Yeah, he's done a couple overnights now.
And he's done well with that.
It wasn't absolutely necessary. I just want to see if that works out, just in case.
Now, when there is that separation, I can tell you what I see from Flynn. Like if Margie and I watch Flynn for a day or a couple days occasionally, because my son is always with Flynn, man, when he sees Rob again for the first time,
yeah, he goes pretty crazy.
It is beautiful. Yeah, it is amazing. I'll try to find the video and I'll show you what it looks like. It's just like they think maybe they'll never see you again.
Yeah.
All right, let's take a break. We're going to come right back. He's John Zarek. It is Smart Law with John Zarek. This is.
You're waking up with Hurley in the morning.
Egg Harbor Township, Ocean City, Goshen, Cape May.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5 and the WPG Talk Radio app. You're waking up with Hurley in the morning on South Jersey's talk station, WPG Talk Radio 95.5 and the WPG Talk Radio app. Hurley in the morning.
It tends to make me feel a little bit more intelligent.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5.
Welcome back. It's Smart Law with John Zarek. Hey, John, any musings about the Hunter Biden federal gun conviction?
Well, I didn't see how they could not find him guilty. A pretty overwhelming.
Only one way, jury nullification.
Yeah. And
I thought maybe that might happen.
And they didn't do it.
No.
So, it's first of all, it was a federal case, and in Delaware, his own home state. Mm-hmm. But, I think it looked like the Justice Department bent over backwards every way they could to give him a pass. And he had some serious, he was guilty of tax evasion, no question.
Well, that's coming next.
Yeah.
In September.
But I'm talking about a lot more stuff like that.
Yeah.
And who knows, maybe some foreign agent stuff. I mean,
he didn't register, but they let that expire.
But if you're drinking and drugging, you let a lot of things expire. I mean, you let a lot of things go that shouldn't be, should be taken care of.
By the way, isn't it rare to have such, I guess it's still considered circumstantial, although I don't know why it would be because you have physical evidence, but they say it's circumstantial, but the best kind of circumstantial. His laptop with him with the gun, him talking about how often, he would have cocaine. I mean, it's served up in a way that you almost never get that.
Yeah. It really, you have to go out of your way to get that screwed up.
Yeah, he convicted
and
himself.
to document it.
Yes, he documented it. Exactly.
I mean, look, obviously he's recovered now. I'm glad he's recovered.
By the way, we don't know that he's recovered.
Well, I think...
I mean, there was cocaine found in the White House, and they never tell us whose it is.
I think with his background, Harry,
we would
know. You'd know in a day or two. I mean, he's, with addiction, it never gets better over time. It gets worse whether you're using or not using. It's a progressive illness. And a lot of people make the mistake. They're sober 5 years or straight 5 years, and they say, yeah, this is great. And somebody says maybe they're not keeping up with their rehabilitative stuff, and get away from their program friends and get into running with a little faster crowd. Not a bad crowd necessarily.
Yeah.
And one of their buddies says, hey, it's been 5 years for you. You can have a beer. That's not going to hurt you. And for some reason,
off to the races.
They agree and pick it up. And I've had a lot of first time out guys that I've defended, who were in recovery.
Wow.
For a year, 2, 5,
and then
10.
One night.
They come down and they, very often with men, and I guess it might work the same way with women, but my experience was with men causing trouble. They're with a woman, usually someone that's new, that doesn't know their routine, and doesn't care, because, we live especially in Atlantic City, it's a hookup atmosphere. It's a hookup world. I mean, people literally get together, meet at the pool at Harrah's and things like that. And I know they'll probably have lots of business tonight, right? Right. It's just like there was one lawyer we both know, I won't use his name, but he was... he represented a lot of restaurants, bars, and things like that. And he forged something, or he committed a crime, and he got caught, and he got suspended by the Bar Association. But when that guy went back in practice, every businessman in Atlantic City wanted to hire him because he knew, hey, this is what I want. I want a guy that's going to forge the papers for me. I want a guy that's going to lie for me, So not the good business people, but he got a lot of business from that. But when you're talking about Hunter, he he's a guy that, like it could be many other guys. If you stay sober a long time, you stay straight a long time, it doesn't mean you're cured or it doesn't mean you're better. It always gets worse. So that Hunter, if I guess he's a couple years straight and sober now. I'm not sure.
That's what they say.
Maybe 3. And, again, he's not as bad as a lot of people who were out of control and did much worse and recovered and took their place in society.
He's fortunate, John, in that he has structure, he has Secret Service protection, he travels in the back seat of a car that's driven by somebody else. I think he's fortunate to have the structure that he has.
Sure, it's always good.
Yeah.
It's always good to have that structure. And, other people that don't have that kind of money or don't have that kind of exalted position, they have to create that structure. Like they go to AA meetings. There are lots of people, a lot of my clients and former clients, they go to, they start their day with a 6:30 or 7:30 AA meeting. That's just like breathing.
Routine.
That's routine, and that kind of stuff keeps them straightened out, and they get a chance to talk to new people once in a while and help them out, and it's good.
I was just in an interview with Dr. Bob. It's very fresh in my mind, and for those who don't know, John has spent many years on the board of Atlantic Prevention Resources, where we have both actually served together. And John, you've done a great job for many, many years on that board. Bob was talking about, and he had a guest that was in recovery for many, many years, and talks about when he goes away, he finds a meeting. If he's in Atlanta, if he's anywhere, he finds a meeting there. It's not like you go away on vacation or you go away on business and you just take off and you pick back up when you get home. He keeps that routine going no matter where he is.
Yeah, and that, again, he's creating that structure and that discipline.
Yes.
That is so important to recovery and a good life. I mean, if you're not structured and you're not disciplined in general, and a lot of alcoholics, when they're drinking or drugging, aren't disciplined, you're going to have a really tough time. I mean, you're going to be creating problems for yourself. You're going to be late. You're going to miss the deadline. You're going to miss the statute of limitations if you're a lawyer. File it late and get sued. We know of a few attorneys, not many, but some attorneys through drinking or drugs, they're inappropriate with clients, they're inappropriate with staff. You're going to be creating, if you don't have that basic discipline, you're going to be creating a lot of trouble. And so, guys, I hope that he is, going to meetings one way or another. I know there used to be, in the Reagan years, there was an AA meeting in the war room.
How about that?
Yeah. There was an AA meeting in the the basement of the White House.
Good.
And
I never heard that before.
Oh yeah,
it's very interesting.
Yeah, and if you watch the show, it's the show with Sheen. He plays the president.
Oh,
West Wing.
Oh yeah.
West Wing.
Yeah.
So real. So wow. Absolutely real. And especially, I've been in New Hampshire for a couple primaries and presidential campaigns with John McCain. And their depiction of how that goes and how the crew comes together and how all of a sudden people find themselves in much different circumstances than they were before they went is 100% accurate.
Wow.
And the White House their depiction of the White House is 100% accurate because they're having an AA meeting in the basement and the chief of staff is there and, the chief of staff of the Army is there or the Navy.
Wow.
And you know what I mean? It's
stuff.
It's real. And in the Reagan years, that was the way it was.
Halftime break, 31 minutes past the hour. Back with John. In just a few minutes, it's Smart Law with John Zarek. We continue. Deborah Heart and Lung Center presents Cynthia Koss coming up right after John. We had to reschedule this from last week, and John was able to stay with us, and we enjoyed it. Cynthia will be here today, And unfortunately, the topic is rough stuff, but it's important information. She really, as a point of emphasis, focuses on advanced heart disease. That's the topic coming up after John. We'll be right back. Don't go away.
This is the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network.
With John Zarek, I am Hurley in the morning. I have 3 stories that you can follow right now on the WPG Talk Radio 95.5 app. Laquetta Small, there's 12 minutes and 55 seconds. I think it's 12:55 or 12:52 a video. She comes in around the 5-minute mark of the video. The conduct speaks for itself. You have to see it. We write about it. Atlantic City Councilman is wearing as a badge of honor a small censure, and the Atlantic City mayor allegedly called a resident.
From the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network, I'm Chief Meteorologist Dan Zarrow. Today is going to feel like a typical middle of summer day. Very warm, increasingly humid, mostly sunny and dry. We'll see a high around 85 this afternoon, 70s at the beaches. Clear skies tonight, low as 68, fairly comfortable. And tomorrow we're reaching for 90, hot with early sun, then clouds build in. Watch for a chance of showers and thunderstorms tomorrow afternoon and evening. Get weather 24/7 wherever you are. Download our free mobile app today. Here is an important safety.
Listen at home or in the office on your smart speaker. Just say, play WPG. You're waking up with Hurley in the morning.
It's the topics that matter to me.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5.
Hey, thank you. We're back. It's 38 minutes past the hour. Counselor John Zarek, Smart Law with John Zarek, continues, and that means, Counselor, time is yours.
Yeah, we were talking about discipline in general. We started out talking about discipline with my dog Bruce, but
Bruce 6'4".
Bruce 6'4", always ready for action. You know, actually, he's not. He's really not an aggressive.
By the way, John, I'm very close to being Harry 6'4". Yeah, it's coming very quickly. Right. I only have a couple of days left.
Yeah, but Bruce, he looks like a wolf. You know, he's Alaska Malamute. He's looks like a wolf, but he's really not a very aggressive guy. Unless someone messes with me, then I guess he'd be aggressive. Good. But yeah, we were talking about discipline. We were talking about discipline with kids and how important it is to have structure and discipline with everything, really. You know, if you don't have discipline in your life, you're going to have a lot of trouble. And, you know, we're also how proud we are of our kids. And it made me think of taking Bruce to this Houndstown and getting him his interview and everything and him doing it. It made me think of my daughter, Amy, when she was, she was 8th grade and Roger, Roger and Edwina invited us.
The Hansons.
Yeah. Roger and Edwina invited us to their house, and we knew them socially, but you know they invited us to our house for an evening with the Petty School, right? So the director of admission and some of the kids came down, and you know they all had their button-down shirts and bow ties, and you know like it was another world. And a couple of the teachers came. And and Roger invited, it was like a recruiting thing, invited a bunch of kids and their families that they knew to, and it was a lucky day too, because, you know, when it got done, you know, you can study, if you go to that school, you can study Chinese at Princeton, you can do all kinds of stuff. They have, Amy was a skater, so they had an ice hockey rink there, and she played, you know, ice hockey for 4 years there, and then played 4 years varsity for Colgate. So it was a pretty good move. But we were there, and ultimately we decided, okay, you know, I was broke for the next 20 years, you know, because she went to that school, then Colgate, then, you know, they're great schools for getting into great colleges, but they cost. So anyway, my introduction to the higher realm of society, you know, I was a Catholic school kid. I had no idea what a boarding prep school was. I knew there were places where I thought, like, people who hated their kids dumped their kids, and went around the world, but it wasn't that at all. And then we had, so we went up. Amy had an interview to go. She took the test. She did everything, and she took the test, and she went to. We went up to the director of admissions, and the director of admissions was a very, very beautiful, organized, steady, not snooty, but not, this was a different level.
Yeah.
I thought, she was very, very good person.
Squared away.
And so she came out, and I guess most parents are worried about this stuff, is she going to be accepted or not or whatever. And we weren't worried, like Amy. Have you ever seen her make a speech or a celebration or anything?
But I have heard.
Yeah. It's
no problem.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
So she walked in, and Amy's pretty short, and she's walking behind the teacher. She said, "Oh, you're Amy. Hi, Mr. and Mrs. Zarek. Would you like to come with me?" She said, "Yeah, I would." And Amy's walking with total confidence right behind her. Yeah, confidence and purpose. And so they go in, close the door, and I said to Linda, she has no idea what she's in for. And she was very prim and proper. She smiled slightly, but no, hey, how you doing? Good to see you. Very, very proper. Maintained her composure, right? So the door opened, maybe 15 minutes, 20 minutes, half hour, I don't know. The door opened, and Amy and she walked out, and Amy, of course, had her confident gait. and actually, it was Miss McClellan was her name. Her husband, Roby, was a retired high Navy officer, actually, and taught there. They both taught there. And so and Miss McClellan was like with her mouth open and her eyes glazed, like, what the hell just happened,
Tornado.
And so she walked up, and we knew. And I said, well, is Amy what you're looking for? And she opened her mouth and widened her eyes. She said, "She certainly is." Where'd she come from? So
that's fantastic.
So she passed the interview, just like Bruce passed his interview.
I love it.
And she went and did great, and it was really a fantastic time.
That's a great story.
But you always love your kids, and you always want them to do well.
Exactly.
But she gave a talk. We got an award, I think, from Galloway Republicans some years back. And it's really kind of, we do some stuff, but, they, I guess after you get old enough, they'll give you an award. And
want to come up?
So what we did, they wanted, to see if the girls could come and speak, Amy, Steph, Missy. And Amy gave her talk about us and about life in general, and service to the community and all this stuff. And again, everybody was spellbound. They're like, "Amy for president! Amy for president!"
Oh, I love this.
It was cool. So we like our kids to do well, and it's worth it to work hard and get them what they need. Give them the discipline they need, which is most important. Not be their pal, but be someone that
supportive.
Gives them structure. Yeah.
Brief time out. We're going to be back. One more power segment with John. This portion of Hurley in the Morning also brought to us in part by my friends at Ambient Comfort, heating and cooling air conditioning professionals They're great. They have a $59 air conditioning tune-up special for new customers that literally, I mean, it should cost a third more, but it doesn't. It's the same price as last year. They do a great job, and they'll discover, if there's a problem, they'll discover it in the early stages. As long as you stay on top of your regular maintenance, you'll find out these things early, which makes the repairs easier, just like anything else, your car and anything else. You may have noticed that your system may not be cooling your home like it used to. That's certainly a telltale. So call my friends, or you can go online. I'll give you all that information in just a moment. And know that for just $59 for new customers, and it's well worth it. We do this every year for our air conditioning system and for the heating system. They'll have their certified technicians perform a thorough inspection, and then you'll know that your system will be up, running, safe, and at maximum efficiency, ready to take on the summer. That's regardless of who originally installed it. When comfort matters, choose who I choose. Choose Ambient Comfort. Schedule your AC tune-up now at AmbientComfortNJ.com. That's AmbientComfortNJ.com. Or call 609-568-0955. That's 609-568-0955. And tell them that I sent you for your $59 AC tune-up for new customers. I want to say a good morning to the M&T boys. John saw one of them. The M&T boys were protecting the innocent, just dropped off something very, very important for the 17th annual Hurley in the Morning Charity Golf Open. And John, by the way, thank you for your foursome in the tournament.
My pleasure.
Appreciate your support very much. And there'll be a beautiful hole sponsor sign out on the course with John's name on it and the law offices of John Zarek, which right now John is presenting. Smart Law with John Zarek. We'll be back in just a little bit. Don't go away.
Hurley in the morning.
If you really want to know what's happening in Atlantic City, it's Harry Hurley every single morning.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5. You're waking up with Hurley in the morning. WPG Talk Radio 95.5. You're waking up with Hurley in the morning.
It's well-balanced conversation.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5.
Welcome back. It's 53 minutes past the hour, and it is Smart Law with John Zarek.
Yes, Harry, I want to always, Ukraine is my second job. Maybe first job.
Good for you.
But we're still in the fight very strongly. And
how goes the fight?
When America or the U.S. held up aid for 6 months, the Russians took advantage. They did a lot of bombing. They did a lot of human wave assaults. They knocked out some infrastructure and so forth. But now that situation is stabilized. They needed air defense, Patriots and other items of air defense. And so now they have those. They're destroying. They just destroyed the Russian equivalent of a like a B-1 bomber, or an F-35, the brand new.
Wow,
they're brand new plane. Not many of them around.
They destroyed it.
Destroyed it. Yeah,
that hurts.
And another plane they shot down. So they've shot down a lot of Russian planes.
I don't know if you know the answer to this, but I'm not an attorney, so I can ask a question I don't know the answer to. You're supposed to know, the old expression, you don't ask a question you don't know the answer to in court. Does Russia, do they manufacture their planes, or do they get them from elsewhere?
No, they manufacture them.
So they can build these planes?
Yeah. For now. I don't think, I think the planes' days are numbered because Ukrainians can, a lot of Ukrainians speak Russian.
And they have decimated the Russian Navy, correct?
The Russian Navy is gone.
Wow.
The Russian Navy is in port and doesn't leave port. They can't leave port, and they're in Russia now. They're not in Crimea anymore. They've sunk about a third of the fleet.
Why do you think the oligarchs leave Putin in power when everything he said he made this seem like it was going to be a 5-minute, walk in the park.
Yeah.
Nothing he said has panned out.
Well, they're not happy with him. That's for sure. They're not happy.
They can't be.
And you can tell when Prigozhin had his revolt, and he was in Belgrade, and he was rolling toward Moscow. He was heading toward Moscow. In Belgrade, nobody opposed him. No, the leadership of
Just
the
let him
army
through.
didn't oppose him. Nobody shot at him. The people cheered. He was Joe Cool.
Yeah, he's quite dead though now.
Yeah, he is. So, but he was rolling toward Moscow, and all Moscow had at that time was like a police guard type situation. So, Putin ran away, went to St. Petersburg. He wasn't one of these.
He wasn't Zelensky.
Great leaders that stood by and said, "No, we're going to fight this war." Yeah, he went to St. Petersburg, went in the bunker, and
Saddam Hussein.
So, yeah, he there's a lot of discontent with him, and what he's doing is he's keeping the war going because when a war is being fought, typically the people think it's a good idea, and so that gives him some power. But he's in danger all the time.
I can't remember, John, the American leader who said it, but I totally agreed with him when he did. It wasn't Biden, and it wasn't any of the usual suspects, but it was a leader in our country, an elected official, who said that Russia believes that they can simply outlast Ukraine.
They do.
And he said to that, that's not true, and we will prove it. I thought that was a really great show of support because, look, if you just have to outlast someone, then it's just fill in the date. That means that the end is known, but that's not really the case.
Yeah, that $61 billion, when that passed, and there were a lot of people. I would go to the House of Representatives and just talk to whoever I could, as many people as I could, as many congressmen as I could, or staff that I could, and lots of other people were doing the same. When that bill passed, finally, that was the turning point. That really, I think, broke his back. Now, before that, those weapons got there, they gained some territory. You're talking about gaining a half a mile or a mile or something in the biggest country in Europe. The biggest country in Europe by far.
So like a pebble in the water kind of deal?
Yeah, it's not a big deal unless you're one of the people that is getting hit by an artillery shell or something like that.
John, you're wearing a professional headset. Can you believe
I can't.
What we're listening to?
I want to say UkraineHumanitarian.org, UkraineHumanitarian.org. We have a lot of need that needs to be fulfilled.
What need do you fill?
Food, clothing, now with the Russians bombing, pediatric wheelchairs.
Oh, wow.
Incubators for babies, generators to replace damaged infrastructure. And we're supporting a number of wounded soldiers. We have two guys from that we're friends with now, close friends, I'd say. They're from South America. They were both wounded. They're in the Foreign Legion, and both wounded. The best guys in the world. All they want to do is get repaired and go back and fight again.
This has been presented, sponsored by the law offices of John Zarek. Smart Law with John Zarek. John, you're welcome to hang around.
From Harry Hurley Way in the world's playground to the broadcast pioneers of Philadelphia Hall of Fame, you're about to find out why Harry Hurley has been named to the Talkers Magazine list of the 100 most important talk show hosts in the nation. Live from the studios of Town Square Media in Northfield, it's Hurley in the Morning on WPG Talk Radio 95.5 and the WPG Talk Radio app.
Thank you. Welcome back. By the way, and you need to really be mindful of it because it hasn't been super hot, and we're already into the middle of June, and all of a sudden, just out of nowhere, by the middle of next week, we will be 90 and beyond in many, many parts of the entire state of New Jersey. For example, by Thursday of next week, high of 32. Friday of next week, high of 95. Heat wave is any 3 days in a row that are 90 and above, so we will have a heat wave beginning next week. So something, especially as I introduce Dr. Koss, something to be mindful of, that, this heat, especially when you haven't been used to it, can overpower you very, very quickly. Deborah Heart and Lung Center presents and sponsors today Dr. Cynthia Koss, cardiologist, special interest in heart failure, and we're going to be talking about advanced heart failure as the topic today. So the perfect guest and a very important topic. Dr. Cynthia Koss is a cardiologist who specializes in heart failure. She earned her medical degree at the Philadelphia College of Osteopathic Medicine. After medical school, Dr. Koss completed a residency in internal medicine at Larkin Community Hospital in Miami, Florida. Dr. Koss went on to complete fellowships in cardiology and advanced heart failure and transplant cardiology at Deborah Heart and Lung Center in Browns Mills, New Jersey. Dr. Koss's special interests include advanced heart failure and cardiogenic shock. She has participated in clinical research studies and authored articles in peer-reviewed medical journals. And Dr. Koss is board certified in internal medicine. We've done this before, Dr. Koss. We know each other, and we had a great time the last time we were together. Welcome to your program. Good morning.
Thank you. Welcome to a conversation about heart failure. I'm excited to talk about it today.
And we are to receive the important information that you will impart. So I will not be charged guilty with burying the lead. What is heart failure?
Sure. So heart failure has a major impact on our healthcare system. To simplify it, it basically means that the heart, which is a pump, it fails to pump oxygenated blood from to our vital organs. So the way the blood flows is, if you think about a blood cell that's in your toe and it drops off oxygen down to your foot, you need to get that blood back up into your heart, into the lungs to grab oxygen again, and then the heart pumps and it gets that oxygen back down to the toe. And it just repeats that cycle over and over again. So the pump itself, when we talk about heart failure, the pump itself is actually failing. And it's either failing to squeeze or it's failing to open. So the heart itself is a muscle, just like a bicep. So one of those two things is failing, and that can become, catastrophic to the rest of the body's vital functions. And then in general, you talk about the impact of heart failure. When we speak with patients, a lot of times they'll come into my office and they say, "Oh, I have heart failure," or "I've been told I have heart failure." And I said, "Okay, what does that mean to you?" And they say, "Oh, I take some water pills here and there." But what really, as a whole, and I'm glad your listeners are taking the time to hear about this today. This is a very serious condition. Sometimes when I explain it to patients, I say it's the cancer of cardiology. It is very, very progressive. It's high mortality rates, and extremely costly on our healthcare system. We're talking of over $30 billion of healthcare services, medications, missed days of work. Now even Medicare and other organizations are keeping track of how many hospital admissions are attributed to heart failure alone. So 1 in 5 of our admissions to a hospital nowadays, particularly in those folks that are older than the age of 65, are due to heart failure. And that is because we as a population are getting older and we're surviving things that, used to kind of lead to mortality, but now we're surviving those things, and now we're ending up with heart failure, as a diagnosis. So it's just a very, very important thing to be aware of, to catch early, and if you suspect you have it, ultimately to get referred to a heart failure center.
You are listening to Dr. Cynthia Koss. The topic is advanced heart failure, presented today, of course, by Deborah Heart and Lung Center. To schedule an appointment, simple to do, 609-621-2080. You can call, and you will see right on the home screen. The hyperlink is impossible to miss. You'll see it. There's a speed button tab, a link to take you right to scheduling. 609-621-2080, or you can do so digitally, any digital device, at demanddeborah.org. Dr. Koss, what are the risk factors for heart failure?
So we kind of alluded to this a little bit earlier. So really just aging itself. So all of us, as like I said before, all of us as we progress and get older, that can be a risk factor for heart failure. Just any organ can fail as we get older, unfortunately. But more specifically, those folks that have had a history of coronary artery disease, and particularly those people that have had a heart attack or myocardial infarction is the technical term for it. Those are people that are at higher risk of developing that weakness of the muscle and eventually the symptoms that relate to this. And of course, any risk factors that lead to coronary disease, such as smoking, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, obesity, a family history of coronary disease. And then, of course, we're realizing in research that diabetes, of course, is becoming a very important risk factor for heart failure in and of itself. Not only as it leads to coronary disease, but it can lead to heart failure. And then if you have other structural problems like a valvular problem, so there's an aortic valve, that's the last gateway of the blood to leave the heart, that can tend to get stiff over time as we all get older. And if that gets stiff, that means that the blood actually has a hard time leaving the heart. So that can impart more strain on the ventricle, which is that left ventricle is the big pumping chamber of the heart. So if there's more strain on that chamber, it can lead to failure over time. And then we're also realizing that obesity is another risk factor, which we're being more and more, familiar with and trying to conquer as a society. So those are pretty much the big ones. And then there's some other less prevalent risk factors, such as heart rhythm problems, where the heart can be, too fast. And just like anything, if you use it too much, it can wear out over time. There are some genetic cardiomyopathies, which stands for basically a heart muscle problem. That's what cardiomyopathy means. And that can be either inherited or you could also have something just happen over time, something called amyloidosis that we look for. We also look for inflammatory processes that we learned during the COVID era, myocarditis, pericarditis. And then even more rarely, folks that postpartum cardiomyopathy is a phenomenon that can happen after pregnancy. People that have connective tissue diseases such as scleroderma can end up with heart failure. And then things that we do to ourselves, like alcohol consumption. Alcohol itself is a toxin to the heart tissue. So people that, have abused alcohol over time can end up with heart failure as they get older. And then, unfortunately, people that have been treated for cancer, so chemotherapy, drugs, radiation, those can put a lot of stress on the heart, and then we could end up seeing those folks later to treat for heart failure. So, and sometimes we don't even know how people develop or why people develop heart failure, but we certainly want to make sure we treat them as aggressively as we can.
The topic this half hour. Oh, go ahead, Dr. Koss. Sorry. Go ahead. Please continue.
I was just going to say, hopefully that shed some light on some of those risk factors that can lead to this overall condition.
It was an incredible, comprehensive answer. It certainly did. We are visiting with Dr. Cynthia Koss. Deborah Heart and Lung Center is presenting this discussion about advanced heart failure. So we know what it is. We know now a ton about the various risk factors for heart failure. What are the signs and symptoms of heart failure that a person would actually experience?
Oh, so great question. So when we ask people about symptoms, we say, first of all, how are you doing? How are you feeling? And one of the biggest red flag symptoms we find is a decrease in what we call functional capacity. So in other words, to put it simply, what were you doing a year ago that you can't do today? It's something as simple as, hey, I used to be able to walk around a grocery store without a cart, without taking breaks. And now all of a sudden I can't get through the produce section without taking a break. Or I need a cart to help me get through because I get very short of breath. So any change in your ability to really do your activities of daily living, folding laundry, just moving around, people get short of breath. People get tired easily. Also, they might notice some weight gain that they can't explain. Where did all this weight come? And I'm not talking about, hey, we had a holiday weekend and we just binged on a bunch of, hot dogs and hamburgers. I'm saying a quick weight gain where all of a sudden now you're starting to notice bloating in your abdomen. You're noticing your legs are swelling up to your thighs, things like that. Or even an inability to lay flat at night. You're not getting good sleep because now, why am I needing 3 pillows instead of no pillows? Why am I now sleeping in a recliner to breathe? These are some, concerns that we have. These are some symptoms of heart failure, an acute heart failure situation, and should be checked out by a physician.
Sidebar before our first break. Is heart failure a permanent condition, or is it something that a person could emerge from?
So, great question. It actually depends. So we have some conditions where, for example, if somebody comes in with an acute heart attack and their heart is stunned, the muscle is stunned because it hasn't received enough blood flow for a certain amount of time, and you seek quick, fast emergency treatment where they go in, they open up the blockage perhaps with a stent, and the blood flow is restored to the muscle, there is a very good chance that heart failure can recover, and that does not have to be a permanent condition.
Wow.
As opposed to another situation where somebody might not realize that they've had a heart attack in the past, and their tissue has scarred down, and now their muscle, there is no way that we can recover that muscle. That's more of a chronic heart failure condition that we have to treat over time and hopefully slow down the progression.
So in other words, it's so important that people be attuned to their body and to what's going on, because early, like a lot of things we talk about in life, early detection is really important, isn't it?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Wow. This is really such an important, you're putting a clinic on, so important. Dr. Cynthia Koss continues, and I wrote something down on my day timer because I don't want to ever forget it. I never heard someone say it so well before, and it really caught my attention early in the program with Dr. Koss when you said, Dr. Koss, that heart failure is the cancer of cardiology. Quote, unquote. I wrote that down. To schedule an appointment with Deborah Heart and Lung Center, you can call 609-621-2080. I'll repeat, 609-621-2080. We always tell you, don't suffer in silence. You know your body. If you're feeling something, we hear people say, well, I'm getting older. Getting older is not analogous to these things that you are hearing from Dr. Koss. These are things you have to pay very, very serious attention to. So make the call, schedule the appointment. You can do so digitally as well at demanddeborah.org. We'll be back with Dr. Cynthia Koss, who is talking this half hour about advanced heart failure. Our next topic when we come back are what are the stages of heart failure. You hear about different situations where there are stages. We're going to ask the good doctor, are there stages to this, and what are they? We'll be back in just a few minutes.
You're waking up with Hurley in the morning.
I listen every morning.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5. You're listening to Hurley in the morning.
Egg Harbor Township. I'm from Margate.
Listen at home or in the office on your smart speaker. Just say, play WPG.
Brigantine. Cape May. Galloway.
Hurley in the morning on South Jersey's talk station. WPG Talk Radio 95.5.
Thank you. Welcome back. 24 minutes past the hour with Dr. Cynthia Koss, cardiologist from Deborah Heart and Lung Center. And Deborah Heart and Lung Center is presenting this half hour a very important discussion about advanced heart failure. When we left you, we said that we would come back and talk about, are there stages of heart failure? Dr. Koss, and if so, what are they?
Yeah, so, before the break, we kind of had that analogy to cancer. And I feel that, some people, when you go and hear a physician say, okay, you have cancer, there's a gut punch there. You know what I mean? Like, you definitely are like, whoa. When people say, oh, I have heart failure, it doesn't, it should kind of resonate the same way. And I just don't know if we as a medical community kind of emphasize that enough. There are different stages. So to break it down, there are 4 stages, A, B, C, and D. So to keep it simple, I tell patients stage A are those people that are at risk for heart failure. So there's no structural problem with the heart. We look at the heart, perhaps under that ultrasound called an echocardiogram. No problem with the heart itself. Looks good, functioning well. People aren't hospitalized for heart issues. However, they have those risk factors that we talked about before the break, like coronary artery disease or diabetes or obesity or they're smoking, et cetera. So those would be stage A. As opposed to that, there's stage D. So that's the other end of the spectrum. So those are the people that are at end-stage disease. Those are the people, I say stage D is disabled. You can't do much. You're short of breath even just sitting down. You're short of breath doing anything. And it's deadly. You're close to dying because the heart itself is not functioning enough. Wow. And so that's kind of the polar opposites of the spectrum. And then we have, of course, stage B and C in between. Stage C is when people start experiencing symptoms. They either in the past were present, they're hospitalized. They start having an impact on what they're doing with heart failure, in addition to having a structural change in their heart. And so that's where things start to change for people because they really start having an impact. But stage D is the dire end of the spectrum, unfortunately.
Wow. That was very important, that breakdown. Dr. Koss, a guest listener, has written into the program. His name is Bob, great guest listener. Could you ask Dr. Koss if a calcium scan is a worthwhile tool? He went on to say, my brother-in-law's was 800, 50% blockage. He had a bypass yesterday. That's the question from our listener. Your thoughts, Dr. Koss?
Yeah, so we utilize calcium scores hopefully early on to help people understand what calcium is currently present within their coronary arteries. So when we talk about the coronary arteries, those are the blood vessels that feed the heart muscle itself. And so we need blood flow to the muscle itself in order for the heart to work. Otherwise, we end up with heart failure. So if there is calcium within those blood vessels itself, the flow of oxygen to the heart muscle can be impeded. And if it gets above a certain percentage where the flow is actually blocked, and usually we tend to say 70% or above, that's when we start talking about putting stents in or bypassing people. So yeah, a calcium score is a very easy, non-invasive tool for everybody to understand how much calcium right now is in their heart. Where is it? What are your risks for developing a heart attack? How aggressive do you want to be with statin medications, which are those cholesterol medications we talk about? That, in addition to the blood tests that we all get to look for our cholesterol levels, you can make a good decision with your physician about how aggressive you want to be with those cholesterol medications and other risk factors that can lead to worsening coronary disease. So hopefully that explained that to the patient. There's no contrast involved. There is no risk to the kidney when we talk about CT scans. So it's pretty easy, quick and easy, and with a lot of information for the patient.
Visiting with Dr. Cynthia Koss, cardiologist, Deborah Heart and Lung Center. Deborah Heart and Lung Center presents Dr. Koss in today's discussion about heart failure and also advanced heart failure. Two different discussions. So we're going to go now to exactly what is advanced heart failure. I know that in my first question 20 minutes ago or so, we talked about what is heart failure. What is advanced heart failure?
Yeah, so this is a really great question because when people have heart failure, cardiologists and general cardiologists do treat heart failure. And when we just went over those stages of heart failure, stages A and B and sometimes C are treated by general cardiologists. But once people are hospitalized with heart failure symptoms, once it's really starting to impact their physiology, and they end up with a hospitalization, their ejection fraction, which is one of the functions of the heart, is very low. These are when we start talking about advanced heart failure and where a referral to a specialist in advanced heart failure is recommended. So somebody that has advanced heart failure is in that stage D part of the spectrum, where you have persistent symptoms despite the fact that you're trying your best to take the oral medications that are recommended in heart failure, maybe you have a defibrillator that's put in. Maybe you have a special defibrillator that also recruits the right side of the heart to squeeze with the left side of the heart. We call that a cardiac resynchronization therapy. Despite our best efforts with oral medicines and device therapies, if you're still suffering from symptoms of heart failure and you can't overcome what's occurring with your heart, that is when we consider you having advanced heart failure, especially if your functional status, which we talked about earlier, you can no longer do things that you did before, is severely impacted. And then we have some objective measurements as well, but that in general hopefully answers the question about what is the difference between somebody that has heart failure and somebody that has the advanced version of heart failure.
So it is significant. I mean, this is not just words. You know, you thought, oh my God, you threw the word advanced in. This is significant, isn't it?
Yeah, it's definitely a different specialty, right? That's why there's advanced training in this particular part of the spectrum, and that's why, like, for example, if you do end up needing advanced therapies, because that's what we're talking about, which we'll get into, is, you know, IV medications, transplant, heart pumps, things like that. That's what we manage once somebody has progressed, because it's a one-way street, unfortunately, from stage A to stage D.
And as we talk about advanced heart failure, as I introduced Dr. Koss in the quick little mini bio that I did, I mentioned that as a cardiologist, Dr. Cynthia Koss has a special interest in advanced heart failure, which is exactly what we're talking about now in this portion of your program. So we now know what it is. You know, now talk about how it is treated, advanced heart failure.
Yeah, so unfortunately, once we come to the very end of the road in terms of progression of heart failure, there aren't many options available. One of the options with a failing heart is to take it out and replace it with a new one. That's transplant. There's also not doing anything, trying our best to use IV medications. There are IV medications that can help the heart pump as best as it can for some time, but they don't last forever. They're not curative. And in between, there is something called a left ventricular assist device, and that's a heart pump. And that can also help somebody live longer with heart failure outside of transplant. It turns out that not everybody is a candidate for heart transplant. So there is, fortunately, device therapy out there now that we can provide somebody if they don't meet that criteria for transplant. And that's what an LVAD, a left ventricular assist device, does. It helps somebody live longer, gives them a better quality of life if they're not a transplant candidate.
2-minute drill with Dr. Koss. Dr. Koss, what physical symptoms, what changes in symptoms should be monitored for people with advanced heart failure?
Yeah, so anything in terms of, like we talked about before, we want to keep track of somebody's ability to do their activities of daily living. We do some testing called 6-minute walk test. So we actually have a patient walk around cones for 6 minutes. We see how far they can go, what their oxygen requirements are. And over time, as heart failure progresses, unfortunately, they're able to do less and less and less. And that gives us an idea of how aggressive we need to be with treatment. There's also some other stress tests that we do. One's called a cardiopulmonary stress test. When someone says they're short of breath, well, is that from the lungs? Is that from the heart? Is that because you're deconditioned? That particular test helps us understand what is causing the shortness of breath. And if it is from the heart, how bad is it? Are you now a transplant candidate? Do we need to now consider a heart pump in those patients? So those are some of the things that we can look for. Patients that can't seem to keep the volume off, they need more and more diuretics. They need increased oxygen requirements. They're going from 2 liters of oxygen at home. Now all of a sudden they need 6 in order to not be short of breath. These are things that we look for in people as possible signs that their heart failure is progressing.
Finally,
and also hospitalizations.
Please
as well.
continue. I'm sorry.
And also, that's okay. And also hospitalization. So if the symptoms get so bad that a patient stops what they're doing and they go to a hospital, and some folks don't even want to go to a doctor, let alone a hospital.
True.
If it gets so bad that they end up going to a hospital, that's a big sign that heart failure is progressing as well.
To schedule an appointment at Deborah Heart and Lung Center, you can call 609-621-2080, 609-621-2080, or digitally, any digital device, a smartphone, right up to a desktop computer. Just go to demanddeborah.org, demanddeborah.org. Dr. Koss, let me give you a little wild card question at the end, a closing comment of your choosing relative to heart failure and advanced heart failure.
So, I just wanted to thank you so much for the opportunity to at least address this very important issue. I think the most important thing we can impart on folks is to pay attention. Like you said before, we have a long life to live. If there's something that's just not quite right, go get it checked out. Don't be afraid. We have therapies now that don't necessarily mean that you need invasive therapies, but if it can prevent something from progressing, that would be the best thing, right? And we treat people any age. People in their 60s are young in our practice. There's no reason not to get treated and not to think that you can't live a full and functional life. With, yes, you might have to take a few extra pills, but if that means you get to go to a wedding or walk up and down a boardwalk or, go on vacation, it's totally worth it for a lot of people.
Dr. Koss, thank you. You've helped so many people today. I just know it, and I appreciate you, and I always look forward to doing the program with you.
Oh, thank you so much.
Take good care. We're going to be right back. Don't go away. I'll say goodbye to Dr. Koss off the air in just a quick second. John is going to join us next, and Bruce 6'4" is in the house. John, let the record reflect. Bruce was showering me with love and kisses. You're my witness, John. We'll be back. Don't go away. I was multitasking. We'll be back in just a few minutes. Don't go away.
Starting your day the right way with Hurley in the morning.
Honesty and transparency, it's not afraid to get down and dirty and really just tell me the truth.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5. Hurley in the morning.
It's breaking news that I can trust.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5.
Seamlessly, we return. I love it. It's the split Zarek appearance. John, then we had a great discussion with Dr. Cynthia Koss, and now we go back to John as a split edition of John Zarek. John, the record can now formally reflect. I want to enter it into the record to bring this to sort of like legal jargon. Bruce 6'4" loves Harry Hurley.
He does.
Oh, my God. I've gotten so many kisses, and he's just a love bug.
He likes most people, but he apparently loves you.
Thank you. He jumped in my lap.
Yeah, he's a good boy.
Bruce, John, Bruce is beautiful.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah, he's a nice guy.
I love dogs that have those piercing eyes. I showed you Flynn, my son's dog. Mm-hmm. He's got them. Bruce has got them. His eyes are amazing.
Yeah, he's a good boy. He's fun.
I'm happy we have him here.
4:30 every morning. He's ready to go.
And he loves to run, right?
Oh, loves to run.
God, he's a beautiful color.
He's good. He's good for a couple hours. And then he'll start to indicate that
wants to take a nap.
Maybe I want to take a little rest.
How many hours a day is he awake?
I don't know.
Dogs sleep a lot.
Yeah.
But they're also, oh my God. So I just love him.
He loves to run and he loves to chill, You
guys go to the beach and different places, right?
We go to the beach usually.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he likes it. He actually, and I, will run a good while and then I, do a little surfing. I'm not any good at it, but it's a good workout trying to be good at it. And so I came in the other day and one of my friends walked up and was talking to me and we turned around and Bruce was standing on the surfboard. Surf dog. So
I watched
that'll be a tough order to get
they're
him
actually
surfing.
I forget where it is. I saw it very briefly in the last couple days. there is a surf competition for dogs. Dogs do surf.
Yeah.
And it was very, very cool.
No, we'll see what happens.
How I want to call this a life-changing event because this is a lot of responsibility. It's a ton of commitment, isn't it?
It seems like nothing, really.
Because you love it.
Yeah, he's nice. He's a good dog, and it.
Why'd you do it?
Someone had him and said, I said, what a beautiful dog, and they said, if you want him, he's yours. He's going to the shelter in 20 minutes.
Oh, my God.
And had all the stuff there to take him and so forth, said I can't handle him. And so I said, I'll take him. And simple as that.
Meant to be.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, he's
That's
a good
one of those
guy.
things in life. It's a moment of truth. You happen to be somewhere that now I don't know. I'm not going to go too deep because it doesn't apply. But if he'd already been sent to a shelter somewhere and you heard that there was a dog in a shelter, who knows? But he was right there.
Yeah.
And it was the right fit.
Yeah, he's a good guy, too.
Yeah.
Obviously,
he hit
you can see from
I'm going to tell you
morning.
right now, Bruce 6'4" hit the lottery.
Yeah.
Because
Bruce 6'4" is his formal name, named after
I just like saying it.
A friend's tracker dog in Vietnam, but and again, I wasn't in Vietnam, but he a friend with the 101st.
And you call him Bruce.
Airborne. And
I just like saying Bruce 6'4".
So that was his favorite one, so I call him Bruce. But Bruce 6'4" formally.
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
I love it.
He's a good guy.
What are some of the things you guys do?
Go to the beach. Sometimes in the woods, but it's so much more fun with waves. And
You guys, though, in Baltimore, for example, you were on rocks and stuff.
Oh yeah. There's an area called Carter Rock, CARDEROCK, and it's a rock climbing area and hiking area, and it's right next to the C&O Canal towpath, and that goes forever. That canal goes actually from D.C. to Cumberland, Maryland, and it's a long way. And so there's a fantastic area for rock climbing. I mean, real rock climbing, technical rock climbing, cliffs and stuff like that. Wow. Which is not my cup of tea, but there's other stuff that is, I'd say, pretty strenuous. The trail we go on is called the Billy Goat Trail.
Wow.
For obvious reasons.
Yeah.
Right? You need to be half a billy goat to go on it, but we have a ball. We like it, and then we like the ocean.
Actually, you mentioned the part about the rock climbing, not your cup of tea. It's not mine either, but I'll tell you what it is. I enjoy watching people rock climb.
Yeah, the pros.
I've been watching movies and different. Yes, it's amazing, man. Their holds and the way that they can do what they do.
Yeah,
it's.
As far as rocks, I mean, one thing I do like is, they call scrambling, which is I like to get a stream bed, that's been there for a million years, and
walk it,
and it's almost all rock, so you have a little stream going down, but all the ground's been washed away, and there are big rocks, little rocks, and just figure out a way to. I'm not going to scale a 20-foot rock face, but, figure out a way to get up. It's just a little challenge thing.
And dogs are really good at that, aren't they?
Yeah.
They can just get right through it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd be a little, I would do that, but I'd be a little leery about it because, sometimes the rocks give way. Little things can happen.
Yeah, I mean, I don't put myself, I think it's...
You don't put yourself at risk.
I think it's immoral, my personal view, is to, if you're crossing a glacier in the Himalayas, and 20% of the people who attempt to climb in that area
have died,
get killed. I think that's borderline immoral to do. I mean, I don't think you should place yourself at risk that much. So I don't do that. I mean, what I risk is a skinned knee, a twisted ankle, a bump elbow, scraped elbow, something like that. No big. You don't want it to happen, and that adds to the fun of it.
Here's another Captain Obvious moment, but I'm going to say it because I know you can expand upon it, that having this dog now keeps you in shape.
Yeah.
Because you're doing stuff.
Yeah.
You always are, but you work out with him.
Yeah, to keep up with him, I've got to up my game a little bit. He really can go, and it's fun. But
how's he doing? Listening to you?
He's great. The one thing he doesn't do, he'll come in all circumstances except when he's got a 3-ring circus going on.
If there's other dogs and stuff.
Yeah. It's very hard. We'll get to that point.
Yeah.
We'll get to that point.
But it is tough. They love it. They love it.
Yeah, you can train him to do, he wants to learn. He likes to learn. He likes to get the praise. So he'll do anything.
My son takes Flynn to a dog park a lot. And when they're with other dogs, there's just a level of joy that they have that's incredible.
Yeah, they run crazy.
They love it. They just love each other, and I love to see that. Let's get a break in, and then when we come back, we'll be uninterrupted until Kill Me. John Zarek, along with Bruce, in studio today. John's always in studio. Bruce, first time ever, first appearance. By the way, does he bark and make noise, or is he a quiet dog?
No, he's pretty quiet.
Super quiet here.
He barks like if it's time to go. He'll come up to me and hey, bud, it's time to go. He'll bark a couple times like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Let's go.
I love it.
Yeah, that's cool.
Does he ever, I don't know if you keep your leash in a certain area, but does he ever go get the leash and bring it to you?
No.
Okay.
He's not there yet.
All right, he will be. We'll be back. It's 10 minutes before the top of the hour. John Zarek, yours truly, Hurley in the Morning with Bruce on the Hurley in the Morning program.
You're waking up with Hurley in the Morning.
Established, reputable.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5. WPGG Atlantic City. WENJ HD3 Millville. A Town Square media station.
Our friends at Henry Repeating Arms, they manufacture a line of very high quality rifles, shotguns, and revolvers that you can be very proud to own. Now, they're made in America with parts and materials also from America. Now, they use old world craftsmanship combined with cutting edge technology to deliver reliable and accuracy that you can trust in any situation. Now, they're easy to use and maintain. It makes them an excellent choice for both a novice and experienced shooter. Henry has over 200 models, so you can find the firearm that's right for you. There's also new releases all throughout the year. And every purchase is backed by their lifetime warranty and the company's owner. Anthony Imperato also gives his personal guarantee for 100% satisfaction. Now, make sure you go to their website, henryusa.com, order their free catalog. They'll send you free decals and a list of dealers where you are. That's henryusa.com. Free catalog, free decals, and a list of dealers where you are. You're going to love this company and these firearms like I do.
Hurley in the Morning.
They really do separate fact from fiction.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5.
We're back. It's 55 minutes past the hour with John Zarek. I am Hurley in the Morning. Bruce is very popular here at Broadcast Center, John.
Yeah.
Hey, John, I have to say, I love your 30-foot leash. That is major leagues.
Yeah, it's good. The experts say, or some experts, the ones I listen to anyway, say
your experts,
that it's not natural for a dog to walk on a 3-foot leash right next to you, to be confined like that. So
gives him room to live and move.
Yeah, it wouldn't be what he would do if he were walking through the woods with you.
Yeah.
He'd go from side to side, he'd go up, he'd go back a little. So that's what the leash allows him to do and still stay under control. So
now I'm not pushing back, but don't they also love to be close to you too, though?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So it's a combination.
Not when you're outside adventuring.
Got it.
When it's time for adventure, he wants to see what's going on.
Yeah. And with a 30-foot leash, you got room to operate.
Yeah.
I said, John, what's that, a 25-foot leash? John said 30-foot. I said, wow. So very, very cool.
Yeah. And it makes him feel secure too.
Yeah.
It's like he's not completely running the world on his own, which is important.
He's just owning the place. He was out there visiting, and now he's back in with us. Now he's over with me. Hello, good boy. I'll tell you, my son's dog Flynn. I can tell they would get along beautifully because he's sweet. Some dogs are real aggressive and stuff like that. He just looks like you had said earlier, unless somebody was coming at you, he just looks like a lover, not a fighter.
Yeah. He has,
which I like.
Yeah, he's not bred to be a guard dog. I mean, he will, but his primary purpose is to take care of humans and be nice to humans, be nice to other dogs, and that's what he does.
I can tell you're very happy you got him, aren't you?
Oh, extremely happy.
Yeah,
night and day, really.
Life-changing. It really
is.
Because
let's say you're going out and you're going to run for an hour or jog for an hour. That it's okay.
But you have a companion.
It can be nice. With him,
it's next level great.
5 minutes and it's over. It seems like it's 5 minutes because, you're watching what he does and watching, he finds a clam. That's a big deal.
And the camaraderie.
Yeah. It's pretty cool. And, he likes the waves. He likes to run in the ocean. He's owning the place, right? He's owning the place right now.
He's getting a lot of love. Oh, and there's pictures. I love it.
Bruce,
that's special.
Be nice to the president, too.
Bruce is, he's actually taking pictures now.
Yeah.
I just watched it.
Yeah. Everyone wants their picture taken with Bruce. That's cool.
It's a beautiful thing. I also believe they're really good for just your whole outlook, your attitude. It's hard to be unhappy when you have somebody by your side all the time that all they do is unconditionally love you.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
And want to please you.
If you give them proper structure and, if you take your place in the hierarchy, but, unfortunately there are some people, they act like children and they don't get that response from a dog or anyone else for that matter.
I imagine he does very well over at the law offices of John Zarek, doesn't he?
Oh, yeah.
Is he in your office hanging out?
Yeah. He
goes outside of the office,
if he feels
too?
like everybody loves him. He's a good guy. Lots of fun. And
I'm fairly familiar but when did you get him?
About 3 weeks ago.
Seems
I
longer.
guess. It does. Maybe 3.5. I don't know.
Wow.
I could nail it down, actually, but...
Yeah, I thought it was several months at least. So that's,
No.
Yeah, it's shorter time than I thought.
No, not long.
Wow, so it's still kind of...
About 3 weeks ago, I think.
Quote Rocky Balboa, it's still kind of new.
Yeah. He's a good guy. We were talking about...
Six minutes in the program.
Actually, I had a dog... I was with some soldiers, and they had to go someplace, and they had a dog, a Cane Corso, and so I was the only one there. It wasn't a combat situation or anything like that, but I was the only one there.
You shared a photo with me of this dog.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That dog did not leave your side, did he?
No, he stayed right with me. And if I sat down, he'd stand guard in front of me, a foot away, looking around. So that's what they're bred for. The Cane Corso is a real big dog.
I mean, actually,
and very protective of family.
In a canine sense, that dog, when you sent me the photo, John, that dog looks like a soldier to me.
Yeah, he was.
It's amazing.
He was.
Yeah.
That's, he was, he was standing guard. That's what he was doing. I became one of the family to him because I was hanging with his people, and it was pretty good.
Bruce just trotted by, so happy, and he came in and he trotted back out. Heather's taking care of him. This is beautiful.
Yeah,
the Cane Corso or whatever. If I didn't say that right, you know what I mean.
CANE.
That particular
CORSO.
breed, is that a loving type dog or utility type dog?
It's very loving to the family and very protective of the family. So that's the deal.
I'm going to just publicly state this. Bruce is the most popular individual at Broadcast Center at this hour.
Yeah.
Chris Coleman agrees, program director.
Yeah, he's got his entourage now. He's cool.
He's just... He is just showing himself to everyone.
He's like
a runway model.
3 people. Yeah.
Jonna, Chelsea, Gabby. That's Bruce. He is the cutest. I know. I know. Big hearts from Jonna. It's fantastic.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
What did you want to close with, John?
Yeah. Well, I want to mention Ukraine. We passed a $61 billion, the country passed a $61 billion spending bill. That stopped the bleeding in Ukraine.
And they're actually starting to get the benefit of that because for a while it was just in name only.
They've stabilized the Kharkiv front. It's Kharkiv, pronounced Kharkiv, really. They've stabilized that front, so the Russians are not gaining anything there anymore. They pushed back a little bit. A few of the villages, you've seen some of the pictures of villages close to the Russian border in that area with, I don't know if they're pictures of me there. They're pictures of Mark there and some of our friends giving food, clothing, water to the people that live in those villages, maybe 50 in each village. The Russians just took over all those villages, which is no big, not hard to do. But they wanted to take Kharkiv, and they can't. And so they've stabilized, you would say the Russian offensive has culminated, which means it's run out of steam. And it's there, but they're not moving, not going anyplace. So the Ukrainians are starting, with our permission and everyone else's, starting to hit the Russian troops and vehicles and concentrations and command centers in Russia, over the border, in the Kharkiv area. So they very quickly, as soon as they got weapons, the weapons that they needed, which we, lobby for heavily. As soon as they got the weapons that they needed, me and 100 other people, 1,000 other people, as soon as they got the weapons they needed, then they handled the Russians very easily. They're always much, much, much better, and that's the way it is. But we still need people, and I'll beg, if I can. Go on UkraineHumanitarian.org. You can call my office and we'll get it in there. And you can drop a check off at my office too. We'll tell you how to do that if you don't want to donate on the website. But Ukraine is totally secure. UkraineHumanitarian.org. And
it's not an exaggeration to say that the support that folks have given to your not-for-profit, it has saved lives.
Oh, not even a question. Not even a question. Lots of lives. So if you want to keep a baby in a maternity center from freezing to death, because the Russians have knocked out they can't move, and the Russians have knocked out the infrastructure, and you want to keep that baby alive, give us a donation. We'll provide an incubator. We'll provide, with other donations too, or you can donate a lot if you want. Provide an incubator, a generator, and and for kids that are injured, Russians are bombing indiscriminately now. Pediatric wheelchairs, lots of things, food, clothing, medical, and that stuff is in great demand.
And it's UkraineHumanitarian.org?
UkraineHumanitarian.org.
Great to be with you, John.
Thank you so much.
And with Bruce.
Yeah, thanks.
We have to leave for 19 hours and 54 minutes. I will see you on the digital platform of WPG Talk Radio 95.5. On behalf of John Zarek, I'm Hurley in the Morning, wishing you a great rest of your day. And remember, the heat is coming. So respect it and hydrate and do all the right things. Here is our good friend, Brian Kilmeade.